Hi, I'm Radical Coder. This is Umbreon. And real quick, before we dive in, if you want to make sure this little dude stays fed and warm, drop a like, hit subscribe, and let me know in the comments what I got right, what I got wrong, or what you want to argue about. Let's go.
The black people time, so don't worry about
Disavow.
that. Disavow. Hold on. What the fuck are the backgrounds?
The casual racism.
Casual what?
It sets the tone well, you know, it is what I wouldn't expect.
Look, Jake was like, casual. So. No, I was being upfront.
We're only talking about 1 minute. We're like a fucking hour late.
Well, that's true. That's true. Melv did push it back an hour, but it's all good, man. It's all good. Now we're here, and yeah, we're gonna roll with it. We got Ryan. I'll put you here at the end. Tarak, you're there. Everybody's good. All right, gentlemen. I'm going to set up the stats on this. I think Tarak, Damon, you weren't here when I set up everything, but the course of the format is just going to be a simple 7-minute opening statements. You guys are going to go first. Tarak and Damon, you guys go first. You got 7 minutes for you guys, and then after that, we're going to shoot it out to your oppositions. They're going to have 7 minutes. After that, open dialogue all the way. But yeah, let's start off with Tarak and Damon. You guys got 7 minutes on the clock, starting now.
So again, mine is going to be pretty short, so I'm just going to like basically concede the rest of my time to Damon. But fundamentally, the debate is quite clear. Seeing as we're the negative, we can just in turn critique whatever they put forward in terms of why LGBT should be allowed to adopt children. So in terms of like my fundamental thing, no matter how many times a boyfriend comes up his own boyfriend's hole, they're never going to be able to create a human being. Same thing with women, no matter how many times they scissors, it's never going to create a human being. So this whole debate comes down to Furby and retarded Ryan being able to produce a case that's like flawless, that stands up to internal critique. And with that, I could see the rest of my time to Damon's opening.
Okay. I don't want to be offensive or homophobic. And I know that Tarak isn't either. Yeah, we like to use inflammatory language. And you know, it's just for the sake of debate. But to be perfectly honest with you, I've got no problem with gay people having kids. But just make them. If you can't make them, then you're not supposed to have them. It's really that simple. And I think that many times we've seen progressives chanting things like, for example, you know, actions have consequences. And if you choose to live your life a certain way, then, you know, you make your bed, you lie in it. And I think that the simple thing that we need to think about is usually you'll see the most successful societies are the ones where people are being true to themselves. And another thing we hear from the progressives is that they want to live their authentic lives and be authentic. So be authentic, okay? You weren't designed to have kids if that's how you live. So really, what's the problem? Nobody is stopping you other than yourselves. And if you want to game the system, then gaming the system is cheating. And cheating is really not a good way to live. So I think we just need to all accept responsibility for our actions. And you can't have your cake and eat it. And ultimately, the main reason why we shouldn't really be doing this is because it's inherently kind of, I know people don't like to use that word, it's evil. It's evil. It's a perversion. It's unnatural. They shouldn't have kids. There you go. I can see the rest of my time as well.
All right. Thank you for that opener, gentlemen. Okay, I'm going to shoot it out to Team Ryan and Melv. You guys have the floor starting now.
Yeah, just super quick. So hello, folks. Tonight we are here to debate the idea that LGBT people should not be allowed to adopt children. That means Ryan and I will be taking the negative, by the way, in case some people aren't playing along properly at home. I just wanted to launch a quick response at Damien because I'm sure Ryan has a intro to wow us all. Damien, in response to this during the open chat, if you're saying that you should have a child, you should make a child in order to have it, are you saying nobody should be able to adopt children?
Well, Mel,
It's
this is opening statements. Mel.
For those playing along, this is opening statements.
No, I said
know,
feel free to respond during open.
No. For the sake of if you're trying to build that into your opening statement, factoring my response, that I can get back to that later. It's not a double standard. It's not a double standard. But yes, straight people should be able to adopt. We can get into that later if you want to debate it.
So yeah, actually, this is standard opening statement stuff, by the way, and it is normal.
No, you don't have a back and forth during open statements.
So
well, yeah, exactly. Damon shouldn't have talked. I agree.
Yeah, the Furby shouldn't have asked the question.
Yeah, that's not.
All right. We're gonna reset. We're gonna reset.
Anyway.
Melv, go ahead. Continue.
Oh no, that's my time.
Okay. Ryan.
Yeah, so I mean, I think that my stream title has been proven demonstrably correct. I put that we are debating homophobic goobers, and that's exactly what's happening. So here's my opening statement. The data has been in for quite a while now. Research like the 2022 study by Farr, Tornello, and Rostowski shows that children raised by LGBTQ plus parents are just as emotionally secure, socially competent, and psychologically healthy as those raised by heterosexual couples. In many cases, they're even more resilient because their families are built on intentionality, flexibility, and emotional openness, not in spite of being queer, but because of it. So why are we having this debate? Why are we pretending this is new, controversial, or unclear when the research, legal precedent, and frankly, basic common sense all point in the same direction? The Supreme Court settled this nearly a decade ago in Obergefell, I don't even know how to say it, Obergefell versus Hodges. You probably know Mel. Recognizing the fundamental right of same-sex couples to marry and raise families. And before that ruling, LGBTQ plus parents had to fight tooth and nail for even basic legal recognition, sometimes resorting to things like adult adoption of their parents or children, of their partners or children, just to secure hospital visitations or inheritance rights. That workaround wasn't the scandal. The scandal was that they had to do it in the first place. Let's be clear, this is not a debate about child welfare. It's just about power. It's about who gets to be seen as a real family and who's forced to prove it again and again. Opponents of LGBTQ plus adoption love to bring up things like bullying, as if that's a reason to deny kids a loving home. And yes, it's true. Children of queer parents face higher rates of bullying, but that's a societal failure, not a parenting one. The problem isn't the families, it's the bigotry. And instead of addressing that, our opponents are going to use it to keep justifying those families further, or justifying punishing those families further, often making the bullying more likely in the process. The best outcomes for children come from two loving, stable caregivers. The genders of those caregivers on aggregate don't really matter. What matters is the environment, empathy, support, communication, and LGBTQ plus parents consistently deliver on that. So no, obviously the question is not, should gay people be allowed to adopt? The real question is, why are we still entertaining homophobic moral panics masquerading as child welfare concerns while ignoring the overwhelming body of evidence that proves these families work? Frankly, I think our opponents tonight owe the entire LGBTQ plus community an apology for even suggesting otherwise. I'm going to get my wiener.
So just to clarify, your whole argument is an ad hom.
Hold on, really quick. They still got 3 minutes. Melv, do you want to continue there? I don't know if Ryan conceded everything here. Are you yielding the rest of your time, Ryan?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. All right. Hold on. Thank you so much for that. All right, gentlemen, now we can go into open debate. Teriak, you were saying.
Yeah. So Ryan, your whole argument is an ad hom, correct?
No, it's not. That's not how ad hominems work. I made arguments and I made fun of you.
Yeah.
So it's not actually.
No. Your whole thing is that we're bigots. That's what this whole debate is about. Yeah. So why bring that into your opening statement? The fact that we're just bigots.
Because I think it's worth pointing out that you guys are.
So what's your fundamental argument? What's your fundamental argument?
All evidence points towards LGBTQ plus parents being perfectly good parents. There's no evidence otherwise, and you guys are just homophobic dorks.
So the higher rates of lesbian couples with domestic violence, that's not going to be an impact on the kids.
Families with domestic violence are probably going.
Yeah, lesbian couples have the highest rates of TV.
Okay.
Yeah, so you're saying all evidence, not all evidence, not all evidence.
Would that difference have to be to justify refusing?
Not all evidence. No, I'm going based on your claim. Your claim is that all evidence points towards that these same-sex couples, there's no issues whatsoever. So again, what's your fundamental argument to allow LGBTQ to have kids? Because fundamentally, they cannot reproduce. Correct?
No, it's a self-contained argument, Tarek. You should be able to figure this out. That the argument is that there's no issue whatsoever.
So like I said, the fact that Ryan's not even talking anymore, and then Fergus has to take over proves that Ryan's basically weak. So my fundamental argument or my fundamental question is, why should why should LGBT be allowed to adopt children?
No, I think that we would approach this. The logical way to approach this is that neutrally, people have the right to adopt children, and you should make an argument as to why they.
Yeah, no. So you're just presupposing that they should. What I'm saying is, why should they?
Because when we, in America at least, I don't know how you guys do it over in Bongerland or wherever you're from, but in America at least,
Okay,
we,
racist. Okay,
it's well, yeah,
okay.
I am racist.
Bringing up my ethnicity, that's pretty racist. Yeah. Okay.
Womp womp. You'll be
So
okay.
the way you do in America. Yeah.
So anyway, the way we do it in America is that generally, if we're not, if somebody's not imposing on somebody else or hurting people, then generally we allow those freedoms unless they're
okay. So two brothers over the age of 18 want to have sex with each other. Where's the harm?
I mean, I'm not personally going to stop.
Are you
them,
intervening?
I mean, I think.
Are you intervening?
Am I intervening personally? I don't give a shit. No.
Do you think the government should intervene?
Potentially.
But so you don't just allow people, if they're not harming anyone else, do whatever the fuck they want?
I think that I don't know. I'd have to think about that one. I don't know if I should.
You should. You should have done more thinking before the debate. Yeah, you should have done more thinking about this.
I wasn't deciding whether or not I want brothers to be able to fuck or not. That wasn't part of the preparation for this debate.
No, because your claim for it's like, well, if there's no harm, if we just leave everyone to their own devices, well, then you would justify incest. Yeah.
Well,
you justify incest with that, yeah.
Because yes, what you would do is you would approach that as a separate topic, and you would have a discussion about whether or not.
Oh, but then you have a separate priority system or separate system that you adhere to. So you're basically saying you don't have one rigid fundamental
totally
structure.
Lost, man.
Yeah,
I'm telling you that we would approach that topic and then evaluate the harms and evaluate the pros, and then we would evaluate whether or not it's something that we need to put legal precedent on. And the same thing I'm doing here.
So why I said why? Because again, I'll explain how we got down to this path. I said, what is the fundamental argument to allow gay people to adopt children? You said, well, if we leave people to their own device and not harming anyone, then that's cool. So then I gave you the hypothetical of the two brothers who are over the age of 18, they're both consenting adults, and they want to have sex with each other. You basically said, I have to do more thinking about that, which seems like you don't want those two brothers to have sex, which means this whole concept of if they're not harming anyone else, one sec, let me finish. This whole concept, if they're not harming anyone else, that's not a valid excuse, because that excuse justifies incest.
Okay, can we talk about the actual? It doesn't. First of all, but
it does.
Can we actually talk about the?
We just leave people to their own devices, not harming anyone.
I mean,
so two brothers fucking. Two brothers fucking. You would not be able to prevent that. You would not want. You would not want to prevent that. This is where this logic takes us.
No, it's not. You would.
It is.
No,
two brothers aren't harming each other. Two brothers, they're both consenting adults.
We would evaluate whether or not there is harm that's worth government intervention. Maybe there is.
So it's worth noting
how's the harm? Explain the harm. Explain the harm.
I'm saying. I just said maybe there is. I don't know.
It's two consenting adults.
I agree. It sounds fine on paper, but I think we all.
Yeah, so you're okay with two brothers fucking each other?
I mean, I'm not going to physically stop them.
Yeah. Okay. So you're fine with incest.
It's worth noting that Ryan not being able to condemn or condone incest isn't actually an argument for why LGBT
it is. It highlights how faulty his logic is.
Not really.
It proves how faulty his logic is. His reason for LGBTQ couples to be allowed to adopt is that, well, if they're not causing harm to anybody, if everything's safe, that's your reason. But that rationale can also be used to justify incest.
A starting point. So to be clear, this is what I was saying about the LGBTQ stuff as well. That's a starting point, a neutral starting point, and then we would evaluate whether or not there are harms that are worth government intervention. That's actually how we do these things. So
so Ryan, can I ask you a question though about that principle? First of all, just to get an idea, because I think I've got kind of an idea about how you and Ferb feel, but I just want to get it clear. How do you feel on other similar progressive issues? Things like, for example, and I don't want to take the conversation there, just briefly, yes or no, if you're pro or if you're against, but things like IVF, things like abortion, things like slavery, the border, illegal aliens. How do you feel about those things?
Okay.
Just random progressive topics. Okay. So for example,
slavery.
No, I'm not saying that they're pro-slavery. I'm saying how do you feel about it? And for example, the idea of reparations, for example, inherited guilt, whatever.
I'm in favor. I don't think reparations are because of inherited guilt, but I'm in favor of reparations.
And obviously slavery bad.
Safe access to abortion. I'm in favor of access to IVF, just like Donald Trump is apparently, right?
You're in favor of IVF, okay. And you're in favor of abortion, as well?
Yeah, I'm in favor of safe access to abortion. Yeah, totally.
Open borders.
That's not a lefty or Democrat position. Nobody
this
actually
going?
really in America believes in open borders. to be honest.
Relevance.
Okay, no, relevance is I just want to see how far you're into the whole progressive thing.
I think
But-
relevance is that you have no idea how to defend your topic, and you want to try and see if you can discredit us by pointing to things that you think will appeal.
If you, dude, if you want to believe that, that's cool. The other question, the other question I want to ask is not about whether or not they should be able to, but why do you think gay people want to have kids?
To raise kids.
Yeah, but why? It's not an end point in itself. What's the point?
Can I take this, Ryan?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, I think humans, whether or not they're straight or homosexual, get joy from raising a family and seeing, you know, what it's like to guide a child into being a better human being.
Yeah, that's usually predicated on them being able to have a relationship to make that child, though.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing is, like, and I'm not trying to lean on the Bible too much here. I'm going to, because I know that this is something
kind of stupid to do, right? Because most people aren't like going to put the Bible into the law, especially not in America. We have explicit rules about
truth is truth, no matter what book it comes from, Ron.
Technically,
Right,
he's not trying to convince us, but he's convincing the audience it could work. So
No.
I
The
guess
reason
so.
why I'm doing it is because if you actually speak to a lot of people in the community, many of them do struggle with this. People who are actually raised with the faith and who do still believe in it will struggle with whether or not they should do certain things. So
Yeah, well, I mean,
that's the
I'm
only
not
reason why I'm
saying,
pointing to it.
just to be clear, I'm not going to force any Bible thumpers to adopt kids if they're gay, you know, and there's plenty of gay Christians who have a lot of complex feelings about this stuff. And if they are feeling comfortable adopting kids because of their religion, then maybe they shouldn't.
again, I
Okay,
have to
well-
wonder, if the Bible is where we're getting this guidance, wouldn't it follow that non-Christians shouldn't be parents?
You're not seeing where I'm going with it, though. I'm not actually leaning on the Bible. That's what I said at the beginning. I'm not leaning on the Bible. I'm going to
Can you
reference
make
certain
the
things, but only
secular
insofar as that we can actually take it to a place where the science is going to back up certain things that the Bible seems to be in line with. But for example, if you're looking at the whole reason why, let's say, from the very creation moment, right? Adam and Eve, right? Eve created as a partner to bear a child for Adam. God saying, "Go forth and multiply."
You
all
were
of
going
it.
to do a Bible thing, and now you're talking about Adam and Eve.
No. I said I'm going to do it in relation to the science as well. So if you actually take it later on, if you're actually, I'm not going to go too far into it because I know you're going to get all up in arms about it. I don't want to trigger you on that. But if you're actually looking at several passages there, what it's actually showing you is that you live on in your kids. Okay, so the mother and the father will live on in their children. A child is an investment not only in the child itself but in themselves. Okay,
I think I
so
get
the
your
parents will see their offspring as a continuation of them. That is in a way eternal life. And the science even backs that up, right? So you'll have the mother and the father, and they live on in the child very rarely with the DNA, right? So it's about continuing your bloodline, and that child carries you with them onwards. Now,
So
this
kind
is
of brings,
why
I mean,
one of the
originally-
Yeah, this is
problems.
going to go for
Hold
a
up.
while.
Yeah,
Hold up.
Okay, sorry,
Hold
you're
up.
kind of yapping.
This is just try to act in good faith for a second. So what we tend to see is that when gay people want to adopt, you see that they have this same thing if they want the child to be actually related to them. So they get surrogates involved. So would you be okay with surrogacy as well? Is that what you're arguing for as well? That gay people should be able to have surrogates involved? That it's not just kind of like fostering. It's not just taking a kid
You're switching
from either an
topics.
adoption agency.
To be clear, you're switching
Not
topics.
switching topics. We're talking about if gay people should be allowed to adopt, and some people will see that in line with surrogacy as well.
Yeah.
So is that another thing you're arguing for? Or are you going to say we're not going to allow surrogacy for them?
I'm okay.
If I may.
What about you, Mel?
I think you're confusing the biological imperative to reproduce, which is there, but with the fact that humans are more than just fruit flies. We're not just trying to pass on genes. We're trying to have a relationship with that child. And the thing is...
so the data doesn't support that, though, because what you tend to see is gay men will want to go more for surrogacy. They will statistically go more for surrogacy.
Good for them.
And that's been shown. So it is about wanting to see their DNA carried on, their bloodline continued. That is what it's about.
I've met conservative
Okay, but who
gay
cares?
people, so that doesn't surprise me. Again, when you ask like a question like why do people become foster parents or why do people adopt at all? It's because you don't need to have a genetic relationship to somebody to actually see them as your own child. Chosen families are something that's huge within the LGBTQIA community, often because people get pushed out of their original family to begin with. So they have to find people who will treat them like their family.
Yeah, so you're okay with surrogacy. That's the main point.
I like what you said there, because that points to another issue that gets brought up repeatedly, which people tend to gloss over, is that the real reason for it, if you actually speak to them, and they get very argumentative when you kind of point that out, but their whole conversation points to it, is that the real reason why they actually go for it. Yeah, I am.
Okay. So you don't have data on that or anything, to be clear?
What, sorry?
You don't have data on whatever you're talking about, like argumentative?
Oh yeah, there's loads of data. It's not bullshit. You can go and you can look at the National Archives for this. It's in the quorum data here. Hang on a second. So the quorum adoption
on how
quorum adoption agency proudly announced that more than 1 in 5 children were placed with lesbian, gay, bi, or trans adopters, even though they said that these children are suffering from higher rates of depression, suicidality, and drug abuse and other related issues which come from abuse within families. But they said we should just be optimistic.
So is that they have those higher rates of mental illness before or after being placed with those parents?
No, it was actually related to being during it, because many of them were adopted before the age of 3.
I don't believe you, frankly. I think that LGBTQ people are more likely to adopt.
Okay, so even when we present data, you're just not going to believe it.
Real quick.
Yeah, well, you can look it up if you want to look up.
I can read like a segment from it, but I mean, my understanding is that LGBTQ plus people are more likely to adopt children who might already suffer from things like depression.
So I don't think they have a necessary condition for what an adopting parent must have, because like they'll tell anybody to have a child, as far as I can tell. And what I don't understand is if you'll tell any straight person, regardless of how good of a parent they would be, to have a child, other than ick factor, what possible issue can you have with the LGBTQIA community plus community?
Yeah, we're getting to that.
You've got a chance to send a child into an environment which statistically is proven to be much safer versus an environment which is statistically proven to be much more dangerous. If you're looking at domestic violence issues, if you're looking at child safeguarding policy and legislation, child safeguarding policy will issue a whole number. There's a whole bunch of factors which will count as abuse, whether it's physical abuse, emotional abuse, neglect. One of the factors which directly correlates to sexual abuse but isn't classified as sexual abuse is a home which has got domestic violence issues.
Relevance, because again, you could find sexual abuse.
Relevance is because you see domestic violence staggeringly higher amounts in LGBTQ relationships than in heterosexual relationships.
So you can post that
staggeringly higher.
You can post that link in the side chat.
It doesn't matter if you posted like, oh, this is faulty data, all this kind of shit. But fundamentally,
dude, look up the data. I'm not going to do your fucking homework for you.
Whoa, dude, you guys can calm down for a second. I imagine that there would be different classes. I'm sorry, please, can I talk for just a moment?
No, you can't. So getting back to the main thing, you're okay with surrogacy, you're okay with adoption.
I thought this was like a TBT thing.
You're okay with IVF? Are you okay with like everything across the board?
What does that mean? Am I okay? No, I'm not okay with you blocking gay people from adopting kids. I'm not okay with that.
No, I'm asking you, for the LGBT community, you're okay with adoption, you're okay with surrogacy, you're okay with IVF, you're okay with all this. Yeah, correct?
Yeah, I'm okay with all those things for straight people. Yeah.
Yeah, so Damon was trying to make a point there, and basically he's trying to...
So to be clear, you're saying you're not okay with those things for straight people as well? Those are things you're not okay with for straight people, right?
Let's compare data sets and all this kind of shit.
I want to know, are you guys not okay with those things for straight people, or is it just gay people?
I'm trying to...
Well, I'm asking
make his point.
I haven't asked any other questions, really.
Interrupting.
So I just want to ask one question.
Like I said, okay, so...
Are you okay with surrogacy and IVF and adoption for straight people?
Sure, why not?
Me personally, no.
Then
why are you not okay with those things for gay people?
This is the point that Damon's trying to make, but you keep cutting him off. That's why I've been interjecting.
Okay, I haven't heard anything about that, so yeah, go ahead.
So my point is, I'm not okay with IVF for the same reasons that I'm not okay with abortion. Okay,
so you're not okay with straight people getting IVF either, right?
No, I'm not.
Okay. Okay, well, at least
IVF,
consistent, even if it's kinda
IVF
stupid.
kills IVF kills a living human being more so than what abortion does. Abortion is the termination of a fetus. IVF, you're creating embryos, which I regard to be a living human being. You are killing more embryos than what you're actually creating. Because in some cases, you'll be killing up to 12.
Why should we care what you think about people getting a medical procedure? Why should we care what Damon thinks?
Because we're in a debate here, we're talking about it. So you're asking me the
Yeah,
question.
I'm saying, but you think it's bad. Okay, I think it's good. So it looks like we're at a stalemate.
Okay, well, do you trust the science? Were you one of those people who are telling people they should mask up and get vaccines?
I do think that.
Do you believe in biology? Do you believe in empirical
spread at least?
What science?
Particles?
Because so far
Yeah,
you've gestured at statistics.
I just said right now. Do you trust in actual empirical evidence?
I don't trust your analysis of it because I looked up to see if LGBTQ households have
and
higher
that's the whole
rates of
point.
violence.
That even when we put data,
And
it's
the
like, oh, well, you're
reality
interpreting wrong.
is-
It's ridiculous.
Okay,
It's like trying to go against the Muslims.
Well, you haven't
So
shared it.
Guys, hold on. Melv, continue, please.
I looked up to see if if queer households have higher rates of violence, but it turns out that it's only they have higher rates of victimization. They're more likely to be victims of violence. It doesn't tell us if
Look up domestic abuse statistics based on lesbian households, gay households, and you'll see.
It doesn't.
Lesbian households are the highest.
I'm still not done, bro. Damien, Damon, you asked to finish all the time. So it doesn't tell us if they are currently in a domestic violence situation, and it doesn't tell us if they'll remain in it, because the real factor of whether or not they'll remain in a domestic violence situation is how many supports they have.
But either way, a person who's suspect to domestic violence shouldn't be caring after a child.
No, this is someone who's a victim,
trauma.
not a
So
suspect.
Damon, sorry, you're going ahead, Damon.
I said victim.
So I don't understand how.
Act. It's very bad faith.
Wait,
so
take kids away from any family that has any instance of domestic abuse between the parents. The kids should be taken away.
It should be struck off the opportunity of adopting a child. Yes, because you're not going to. In certain places, most parts of Europe, you can't adopt a child if you're a smoker. So I'm sorry, but if you're going to say no, passive smoking poses more of a risk to a child, so we're not going to let you adopt, then the fact that, oh yeah, you guys get in a little hissy fit and start beating the shit out of each other, that should be a way more dangerous thing than a little bit of passive smoke.
I think the problem I'm having is domestic violence is a much larger spectrum. It's not just always beating the shit out of each other, right? There's a really huge, and you would think
it doesn't matter. It's going to be more traumatic to a child.
Men's rights concerned, then you guys would probably understand
be more traumatic.
A lot of domestic violence is actually not beating the shit out of each other.
Yeah, they call it domestic friendliness, right?
Well, I mean, it's just a blanket term.
So if a guy calls his wife a bitch once, they can't adopt children anymore.
Oh yes, sorry, shit, I fucking forgot. No, I forgot that progressives think that words are violence. Yeah, no, that I agree. Yeah, that would be a problem.
I still have yet to get an answer. What is the necessary condition an adopting parent must have that LGBTQIA plus people do not have?
Yeah, Damon's trying to get there, but you keep trying to derail.
He's not doing a very good job, to be honest.
Gesturing at things.
Yeah, no, like I said,
you
can let Damon speak.
The thing is, I'll tell you if you want to know, right? So Ryan built like a house of cards at the beginning, beautifully in his opening statement.
Thank you.
Predicated on the big myth that LGBTQ parents can offer just as fantastic an upbringing for kids, that they'll grow up just as stable when number one, statistically, sometimes even better. Yeah. When we know that statistically, by the way, that's beautiful. That's beautiful that we're having this conversation today, considering the court case that's going on with Preston Davey. You do know Preston Davey? Have you heard about that story? Considering what we're talking about now, 13-month-old baby boy who was raped to death by a gay couple.
Okay.
He's British, so it doesn't count for your wanting to adopt kids, right? Because it's a British.
Why should we take the actions of that gay person and blame other gay people for their action?
Right, yeah. No, I'm just saying it's beautiful that this is happening now. And the fact that this isn't an isolated
beautiful.
case.
That's a pretty weird thing to describe as beautiful, but I don't think.
Yeah, beautiful that we're
think
having this
applies
conversation now when this is happening.
Teriak, you're
it's
using
one
screen
instance,
share with
right?
OBS, and we're getting the screenception. But
Beautiful.
but yeah, as far as I can tell, all the research I've seen shows that if anything, especially when it comes to having children with diverse needs, queer people are better parents than
buddy, the research that you've done, you just told us that you've only found the ones that shows that they're more likely to be victims, right, of domestic violence rather than actually being the aggressor.
I looked up what you were talking about.
So then you should have seen that lesbians are in situations of domestic violence that's nearly 3 to 4 times higher than heterosexual people.
No, they're 3 to 4 times more likely to be a victim of past violence. It doesn't tell us.
No. Actually, within relationships,
you have yet to post a single link. I think you're just bullshitting.
Well, hold on. We don't have the time to kind of go through all the links here.
Well, can we go through one?
I'll concede on at least something.
But okay, fine. If the other thing, we can use a little bit of logic here. Right? The other thing is that statistical proof that victims of abuse tend to, at statistically higher rates, become abusers themselves, right?
If they don't seek treatment for it.
Seek treatment for it. Okay, right. And we're living in a society which right now for the past 15 to 20 years has been telling people of the LGBT community, there's nothing wrong with you. You don't need help. You're fantastic just the way you are.
Damon,
affirmation is what you need.
Have you never seen becoming a parent change somebody, like actually make them a better person because now they have a kid and things actually matter?
I have also seen it make them worse. No. And I have seen it make them worse in situations where they are in an unstable relationship.
And people like that, whether regardless if they're queer or not, shouldn't be parents. I would agree with you there. There's no reason to draw a line and say queer people will have that issue because, again, queer people are also more likely to seek therapy because they're not stuck into normative frameworks of existence, so they don't mind getting help for their problems. It doesn't make them feel weak or vulnerable or anything like that. And so they're probably less likely, I guarantee you I can find data supporting this because I have it in my bookmarks, they're less likely to actually reciprocate violence, unlike cishet people who won't get treatment for those things and are more likely.
Yeah, that just means that they just won't hit back. That's all that proves. Just they won't hit back. It has no impact in terms of the actual abuse or suffering that they undertake.
I don't think you understand the therapy they would seek. It would be a lot of different.
Oh, I don't understand the therapy. But this is the thing. It's like your interpretation's always right. Our interpretation's always wrong.
No, but
see how this works, and then they ask us for data.
You got to bias, obviously.
They would be given the tools to resolve conflict without resorting to violence. Like I don't know. Like what else would you expect it to be? And how
as in your whole thing is that they're less likely to strike back.
Having the tools
they're less likely to strike back.
Conflicts without violence is something parents should have.
That's all that proves. That they're less likely to strike back. That's all that proves. Damon, you're saying?
Again, they're better at conflict resolution than somebody.
The problem. Sorry. I understand what you're trying to say, and I agree that theoretically that would be the case. What I'm saying is that it doesn't bear out in reality. The therapies that they tend to go for either talk therapy or CBT, or they'll go for medication. And those three things have been historically proven. Talk therapy and CBT. Where am I getting it from?
Again, you haven't looked at a single source. I have no idea how credible anything you're saying is.
Okay, dude, I can post links to this after. I can send it to Jake and he can put it up on the site if you want. But just what therapies? Okay, if you disagree with me, what therapy do you think they go for? Are you saying it's not true that they don't go for cognitive behavioral therapy, that they don't go to talk therapy, that they don't take medication? Antidepressants are widely prescribed to LGBTQ people.
That's not the basis for it. The basis is for conflict resolution because oftentimes people who are raised.
So you do admit they do CBT.
In abusive households will have poor.
So you do admit they do CBT,
skills, which will then.
So you do admit they do CBT.
Violence.
Some of them might.
No, I think Terry's got a point here. You're disagreeing with what I'm saying, and then you're actually saying that it is something that happens.
Well, no, that
Wait,
person
what's-
can have CBT.
This is the typical lefty argument. No, it's not happening. And then when you prove
What's the
that's
issue with
happening, yeah, it is
CBT?
happening, but that's a good
I don't even
thing.
understand. What's the
See
issue
how
with CBT? Why are we
retarded this
talking about
is?
CBT?
And then
See
you
how-
say,
I
we
do
need to have
see how
links.
retarded
We
this
need to have links.
Wait,
Then
wait,
we
wait,
disagree with our
Ryan.
You
interpretation.
see how
Sorry,
you
wait, what
become
was-
selectively retarded
what was Ryan
with the way
saying?
that before you were like, oh, Damon's only
When you
saying
denied
this, but he's
CBT,
not
when
leaning on it,
you
and
were
I was
No
like,
one
so
denied
horny
CBT.
to try and disagree with
on this
Damon,
thing,
and now that
and
you
now
got
you're
called on it, you
as
actually agree that
is.
they do CBT.
I don't think
So
you
they
have
do
self-awareness,
CBT.
Teriak.
So they do
Because it's so
CBT.
performative, it's
What did I
actually
just say, Teriak?
cartoonish.
Do you even know?
So they do CBT.
are you
correct?
are you avoiding listening to protect
So
yourself? From
do
the fact that
they
I'm right?
do CBT?
Are you avoiding listening to what I'm saying to protect yourself from the fact that I'm right?
Okay, just
No,
say
I'm
what you're
asking a
saying. 'Cause
question
you're not
because
saying
why would
anything.
you
You're saying a
disagree?
lot of talking. Teriak, let him actually say something because he's not. Okay, go ahead, respond, man. What was it you're trying to say?
So yeah, it's hilarious that Teriak's complaining about that.
Okay, fine.
And then they
Have
don't
a-
actually address it.
When Damon said
See,
that
doesn't
he's
he
not
actually
leaning
address
on the
what Damon's
Bible,
question was?
that he's
All right,
not
hold on,
leaning
Teriak.
on that Bible. Teriak was all support and gung ho for it, but as soon as I say, well, it doesn't lean on things like CBT, but I can't speak for every clinical case, of course. Teriak starts waving the W banner because all he needs are these masturbatory
Yeah, it's a W. It's an easy
Ws.
W. We won in the opening statements. What are you talking
Just
about?
So the
purely
fact
intellectual
is,
masturbation.
if I can say something and then you tell me what's wrong with it, because
Okay,
do you disagree that they go to talk therapy?
not all of them.
Not all of them. Okay. The other ones that I said will go for CBT, right? Do you agree with that? Not all of them, but some of them. Do you agree?
Some of them, sure,
Right. Okay. Others will rely on medication.
maybe, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Again, speak for every little
So,
client.
so,
What
so,
I can
so,
tell
what
you-
other
what I can
options
tell
are there
you-
that you think? What other options are there? Do you think that I haven't mentioned so far?
conflict resolution skill sets
That will be included
literally
within
the
CBT.
foundation of the therapy
No,
that we
CBT
give
is
people who are
pretty
raised in
specific.
No.
domestic environments.
Cognitive behavioral therapy will include
Are these
conflict
the only words you
resolution.
know?
So the
It does, but
these
you
the
can-
only
and
words you know?
so does. Wait a
Hang on.
second.
I think
so
you
does,
need some CBT.
So
then,
does
first
talk
of all,
therapy.
because I don't think you're very good
Okay.
at conflict resolution.
So
But
does
I,
talk
like,
therapy.
Okay, hold on, guys. Hold on, guys. Can we just focus on one point at a time, please? Damon.
Right. Yeah. No. So what I was trying to say is that if you're going to mention conflict resolution, if you're going to mention anger management, right? Talk therapy and CBT address those things. If you're going to say this person just went to an anger management course, this person went to a conflict resolution course, that barely counts as therapy. That's literally a class that you fucking go to.
Look, I get
Okay.
that
I think what
you're
you-
thinking about.
So
things
if you're
dogmatic.
if you're going through a regular CBT program, go ahead. Sorry.
If you look, I get that you're used to thinking about these things dogmatically, but it's not like that. These things are not applied dogmatically. Clinicians look at the individual and what might work best for them, and apply various treatments in tandem with each other accordingly.
Which is why I
However-
mentioned various
however-
methods of therapy.
Let her finish.
Mm-hmm.
However, the basis of this is giving people the skill sets to resolve conflict better. It's that simple.
I agree. The problem is that it doesn't work for all of them. Okay.
No.
So
I mean, nothing works for everybody, but like, why are you saying it's like a specific problem in the LGBT community?
Because we've got about 50 plus years of data to show that the medications that get used usually amplify the problems. What?
Share any data that you're referring to. You haven't
Yeah.
posted a single link.
We've just went over that the data
I'm sorry,
we do show.
I credited you with
wrong.
some measure of common sense that you would know this. Are you saying that you aren't aware
Common
that
sense to be
medications?
aware of a specific data. You posted like a Google search earlier, by the way. That was like,
Okay,
that's true.
antidepressants that basically increase likelihood of suicides.
But that's not domestic violence, so that's not the same
Yeah.
thing.
I'm not
I
saying
don't know
domestic
if that's
violence,
true,
but if we're talking about the
So you're
safety of a
moving the
kid,
goalpost.
I
Okay,
think,
you're moving
hang
the
a second, if we're talking about the safety of an adopted kid, I think having the parents off themselves is going to traumatize the kid a lot worse than seeing mummy and daddy fighting and smacking each other.
And it just that's why
Okay,
it's
so-
a good thing that queer people tend to be more likely to seek help for these things.
True.
But they're
So
more
wait,
likely
should-
to actually
should we just-
self-delete. But they're more likely to
Should we bar
self-delete.
anyone
correct?
who has? So should we bar anyone who's on
But
SSRIs
they're
from
more
releasing?
likely-
Let's
They're more
let's
likely-
look a little
using
bit.
different-
Let's not
They're
make
more
let's not
likely.
make
They're
any
more
kind
likely to
of
self-delete.
let's not any kind of like correlation causation fallacies here, because the fact that you're saying that
concerned about that.
no, what that's what you're doing. You're telling me that queer people are more likely to go and seek help to seek therapy. Really? Okay, I wonder why that is.
Because
I wonder why that is.
Because people like you guys
since we've
are
counted the
constantly
teams,
debating about whether or not they should have rights, like constantly. You're obsessed with it.
Your stats are completely fucking disproven by history alone. By history alone. You want to blame? No. Wait a second. You want to say that the reason why these people are self-deleting or needing to go to therapy is because society is treating them so badly. In this day and age, where we've been more tolerant than ever in this day and age. And you're going to say, if you look at the statistics of, for example, Jews in Nazi Germany, who are committing suicides 5 times less than what trans people are today. And you're trying to say that trans people today are being victimized more than Jews were in Nazi Germany.
Nope. You're the one who just did that. So you're putting words.
No. You did that because you're blaming the reason, buddy. You're blaming the reason for them needing therapy on society persecuting them. And you're living in the most coddled society today that we've ever had.
So again, you're strawman.
Gay people haven't been more welcomed.
So David, can you let us like complete a full thought for 1 second?
No,
so, like,
what we're doing is we're showing you how faulty your logic is. You're saying the reason why trans people and the LGBT self-delete so often is because society is persecuting them. Well, we can dig up the 1940s Germany and see when Jews were persecuted by the state, locked up in camps. This whole like fear propaganda that the LGBT like to push. When we analyze that data, the Jews did not nearly commit the same amount of self-deletion rates than we're starting to see in this community. And then you just want to act like just because these people go for therapy, that means that's a good thing. But they're still in a very bad mental state, which means they shouldn't be adopting kids.
Okay, so, Ryan, I want. Hold on. Ryan had something to say. Ryan, could you respond to that? What Teriak just said?
I mean, I can address the broader point. Like, we wouldn't look at like the societal aggregate on whether or not people are accepting of LGBTQ people and compare that to like Nazi Germany. Like, that's really stupid.
Yeah. Okay. So are LGBTQ people?
I thought I was talking.
LGBTQ people getting locked in camps? Are they?
Jesus Christ, dude!
Hold on.
Control yourself, man.
Hold on.
This is
Ryan,
what
continue.
To be clueless sounds like.
Hold on,
well,
Ryan.
Furby interrupted me during my
chill.
There was no issue with that.
Get your fucking base, dude. Chill.
So control your Furby.
Hey, bro, oblige to the moderator, please. All right, Teriak. Ryan, finish your thought.
I just want to enforce evenly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, then you should shut up then. That's what should happen, actually, if it was enforced evenly. But so what we would look at is how the people around them are actually treating them, right? We would look at how their family treats them, how their friends treat them. That's what we would look at, how they're being treated specifically in their personal lives. That's how we'd evaluate how quote unquote oppressed or whatever, or how victimized they are by society. We wouldn't look at the aggregate, right? Because if you have parents that say that they hate you for being gay, it doesn't matter if like there's gay people in Hollywood. You're gonna be dealing with that directly from your parents.
Okay. And which is worse, getting locked up in a camp and tortured to death, or your parents saying, we don't like you?
Do you think there's more opportunities for those people in those camps?
Which is worse,
Do you think there's more opportunities for those people?
Which is worse? Which is worse?
Being locked in a camp is worse. But
thank you. So Jews were persecuted more. So Jews were persecuted more than the LGBTQ community. Yet when we compare the self-deletion rates, it's 5 times higher.
You understand this is incredibly irrational.
It's 5 times higher. It's 5 times higher.
This is incredibly irrational.
These are the ones that are denying.
I'll explain why.
Do
you understand that?
It's just a whataboutism. It might even be a thought-terminating cliche to think that.
How is it a whataboutism? How? No. Tell us how is it a whataboutism?
Let her say.
I think that this is relevant to our argument at all, considering nobody on our side of the aisle makes that comparison. So it's literally just attacking a straw person to pretend you have an argument. Our argument.
No, it isn't. What it's saying, it isn't doing that at all, though.
Why don't you let her finish, man?
Our argument is that
he's talking shit. That's why I'm not letting him finish.
Well, we should be talking shit. You guys are losers.
All right, hold on. Enough with the shit talking. Melv, go ahead and finish your thought. Damon, I want you to respond after that. Go ahead.
Our argument is that these people can't name any necessary condition for what makes a good adoptive parent, especially because then their whole breeder logic would go right down the drain, and therefore there's no condition that they can apply to queer people that won't also eliminate cishet people from adoption.
Yeah, self-deletion rates. That's what we're pointing out. Self-deletion rates, and when we compare Nazi Germany,
all right, hold on.
More likely, by the way,
hold on.
See the interruption?
more likely than
we're doing this interrupt
to complete their suicide.
Jake, what's going on here? What's going on?
So really quick, I want Damon to respond to Melv. Go ahead, Damon.
So the actual deeper issue is, if you're looking for the reasons why they shouldn't be able to have it and why straight people should, is because it's the driving force. It's what I asked Ryan earlier on. When I asked Ryan earlier on, tell me why you think they should have it. He didn't answer me. He couldn't. You tried answering it, Ferb. And the answer that you gave is, well, because they want to just be able to share their love. Look, no, you have to create it. Okay?
Well,
This is all about...
and you agree they don't. You accept adoption of heterosexual couples. So no, you don't think they have to create it.
All right. Go ahead, Damon.
Okay. So
you guys interrupted me like a ton. I get a little bit of interruption as a treat, okay?
Go ahead, man. What do you want to say?
What's going on here, Jake?
Guys.
What's going on here?
Guys, Damon, finish your thought, and then we'll shoot it back to the oppositions here. Go ahead, Damon.
Like I said at the beginning, make a baby if you can make a baby. If you can't make a baby, then there's a reason why you can't make a baby. And you have to live with the consequences of your actions. The fact that you can't live with the consequences of your decisions shows that you're not really thinking correctly. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to cheat. You're trying to game the system to have your cake and eat it. I want this because I should be able to have this. Why should you be able to have this? Oh, because I just want to share my life. If you've got a loving relationship and you're a dude and you've got a loving relationship with another dude, then happiness wise, that should be enough for you. Okay. If you want something more,
Says who? What, who cares?
Let me finish my point. So if you want something more, but you can't make that happen for yourself without the state or without other people who are willing to just make some money off of it, come in and try to help you build your happy life, especially when, if you look at the depression rates and all of the stuff that we've been arguing now with regards to how they're seeking therapy and why they're seeking therapy in so much higher numbers than straight people are. The fact of the matter is the reason why you want to adopt a kid is because you want to feel better about yourself. You want to lend legitimacy to your relationship, which isn't going to give you those things. When I said at the beginning, I wasn't trying to be offensive. I'm not trying to be homophobic here. Okay, nobody's afraid.
You are homophobic. It doesn't matter whether you try to. So
if
anyway,
that's what you want to think, if that
everything you just said could apply to straight couples. Everything you just said applies to straight couples.
If that makes you feel better, then carry on thinking that, dude. The fact of the matter
everything you just said applies to straight. You're just arguing against adoption broadly. Like, how are you not?
Explain yourself. Go ahead. Let's see what argument you think you have.
You said if you can't create a child, then you shouldn't need one. So you're just arguing against adoption, like
no. Okay. When I was speaking before, I said it's unnatural, right? The natural design is for a man and a woman to have a child. If a man and a woman can't have a child,
to be on a computer yelling at two homophobic losers, so who cares?
Do you feel better now that you said that?
Yeah.
Do you feel better now that you said that?
Yeah, usually, yeah.
Okay, cool. Let me know when you want to carry on saying it. I can be your punching bag. Cool. I can be a punching bag. It's cool. Call me whatever you want.
People are your punching bag, so I mean, someone's got to return the favor a little bit, right?
If that's what you think, okay. So the fact of the matter is when we were talking about
you're pretending you care about children, but you don't. You obviously don't give a shit about children. You just care about
buddy, why are you so afraid of letting me talk?
Let's shoot out. Guys. Ryan. Let's attack the arguments and chill out on the personal stuff.
What argument? He just argued against adoption broadly. I asked him how he's not, and he's like, and then he nothing.
Okay. Right. Okay. So if you're genuinely interested in hearing the answer, the reason why it doesn't apply, and earlier on when Furby asked me, "Are you okay for straight people doing it?" I said, "Yeah, sure, I am." The reason why. A man and a woman should be able to have a baby. They can do that. That's natural. The whole natural design is for a man and a woman to make a baby, right?
Unless they can't.
A man and a man can't, a woman and a woman can't. So if a man and a woman can't make a baby for some other reason, then we don't say what you're doing is unnatural. We say that there is a health issue here. There is something wrong with you, and we can fix that. Now, fixing it is not the same as saying we're going to completely violate nature and do something different that shouldn't normally have that outcome. The normal natural outcome for a man and a woman coming together is to have a baby. That's the normal natural outcome.
Unless they're infertile, then it's not natural at all.
Let me get this one.
If she's past the expiry date,
fallacy. What you're doing?
No, it's not.
What you're doing?
No, it's not.
Well, let her explain why it is.
You can Google appeal to nature since you love Google so much. And
it's not a naturalistic fallacy. It's nothing like that.
assuming that something is good because it's natural is not logical. It's not rational.
No, I'm not assuming that something is good because it's natural. I'm saying the natural design is that a man and a woman have a baby. Okay.
Yeah, that is
It's not natural. It's not natural. You can't argue Hume's guillotine. You can't argue naturalistic fallacy. You can't argue that. The fact of the matter is, we know that if a man and a woman come together, they will be having a baby. Normally, that's the way it should happen.
Infertile.
Yeah.
It's very
Unless they're infertile, unless she's got polycystic ovary syndrome, unless she's got endometriosis, unless
also
he's
plenty of
been
good reasons
smashed
people
in his
not to be able to
balls.
birth.
Yes.
True.
But the thing is that you're not violating the natural process if you're saying, hey, look, this guy's got a little issue that we can treat, we can do that, and it'll be
Violating
fixed.
your standard of what the natural process is. But
And
no one
by
gives
the way,
a fuck about your standard.
by the way,
Okay, show me a condition where a man and another man can make a baby, and I'll say that you're
I
right.
don't have to do that. I don't have to do that. They can adopt
Yes,
one.
you do. Yes, you do. If you're
Why?
going to say that the normal natural process is not that
Sorry, go
case.
ahead, Mel.
So, and by the way, it's natural to be gay. It's natural to be trans. These are natural deviations of the spectrum of human existence. Just because you can point to a bell curve and the normative hump in the middle doesn't mean the outside edges don't exist.
That's like saying it's natural for a man to have 3 arms because one guy was born defective and had 3 arms. And now you're saying it's natural for men to have 3 arms.
That one guy to be born that way, yeah.
No, it's not natural. We call it abhorrent.
So then
It's an aberration. It's an aberration. It's actually unnatural.
Not natural to be debating this. Therefore,
that's why it's called a defect.
It's not natural to be debating this. Therefore, none of the conclusions we come away from here matter. Good night.
So you defeat your own argument.
You're gonna rage quit.
Because again, bear in mind, you have to make you still have not given one solution or one reason why gays should be allowed to adopt.
It's not to be a bigot.
Okay, if so, it's an at-home. You're like
Okay.
I called it from the very start. I called it from the very start. Okay, it's okay.
Terry,
It's okay.
It's actually really
Terry,
good.
can I go down this rabbit hole with them real quick?
Yes, of course you can.
Please. Okay, look, let me concede everything. Let me just concede everything in a way where I can just try and understand. I'm just going to try and understand how this works for you, okay? I'm really just trying to understand how you're going to make this happen. And there's a lot of problems, and I think if we talk the way we're talking now, we're never going to get through it all. I've just got a few questions. I just want to know what the solutions are. And I'm trying to be good faith here. So, for example, one of the big things is when families will fall apart, right? We normally think about if there's a gay couple, they're a loving gay couple, there's no domestic violence. I know gay couples who I think a child with them, I'm pretty sure that child will be safe. They're safer than some heterosexual couples that I know. Okay.
So why do you want to bar them from having that kid then?
Because the exception doesn't always prove the rule. Okay. So I'm not going to build, me personally, I wouldn't make a policy that's going to be a broad policy just based on the fact that I know 1 or 2 people who are stable. Okay.
But the exception would be the ones who are engaging. It's not like most LGBTQ couples engage in domestic violence.
Buddy, can I just ask you the questions that I have? Can I just ask you a couple of questions and then you can fire back?
Yeah, one question.
Sit down. Your question was too long. You're creating a rule for the exception. That's even worse.
Okay, so is it okay to interrupt or not, Jake? I want to get a clear answer on this.
So Davon, ask a very, very straightforward question.
Just a couple of quick questions. Yeah. So for example,
one at a time.
If we consider that one of the big problems is broken homes after the child gets brought into it, right? You already clarified earlier on that you'd be okay with surrogacy as well as adopting from agencies. So if we either take a surrogate kid or adopted from agencies, that kid gets brought into a gay couple's home. And let's say a few years later, let's say there's issues, especially because this happens with surrogacy, that the mother now finds out, for example, it's with a gay couple and she's got some issues. She wants to fight a legal battle to try and get the kid back, or the foster parents do. Are we going to make court? Are we going to?
Here's the question. Go, Damon.
Would we solve it by, for example, saying, hey, look, you're not going to have any rights from now on. If you give up your kid, for the safety of the kid, for the security of the kid, so the kid has a stable life, once you give up for adoption, or if you're a surrogate, whatever, and you hand the kid over, that's it. You've got no rights to the kid unless the parents allow it.
Let him settle in court. This is such a long-winded question. Let him settle in court. Why do you want to stop them?
So you'd be willing to drag a kid through that kind of shit?
You're preemptively blocking gay people from adopting because you think sometimes people might have issues later down the road.
No,
Like,
I'm asking, would you choose the safer route of, for example, saying we're going to legislate it, that the only way you're allowed back in that kid's life is if the couple allow it? You can't drag the parents and the child through a lengthy court case.
This can only be a hypothetical and not a conditional argument because surrogates often meet the family who they're a surrogate for, and therefore this would almost certainly never happen this way.
That's a good point. Also.
Yeah, no, it does happen because even after they meet the family and hand over, later on they can have second thoughts, and this is very common with surrogates.
Well, then that's
okay. Well,
their
they can
problem.
settle it then. Yeah.
They can go to therapy for it.
True.
Like, seriously.
Like, why is this so justify blocking gay people?
If you become a surrogate, you should be realizing that you might have second thoughts. If you're not prepared for that, then you're a terrible surrogate.
Right.
That's a good point also.
Right. So you wouldn't want to have any kind of legislative protections for the kid there to say, look, no, we're going to kind of draw it up to say once the kid's adopted,
gay people from adopting them.
I'm not saying to block gay people from adopting them. Listen to the question.
That's a debate prompt.
No. Listen, the question is, would you have it so that when they get adopted, the people who gave the kid up for adoption aren't going to be able to have access unless the parents who adopted it allow them to? So that
I don't know where the court would land on it. I don't care. I would let the court settle it. I don't have a personal stake in there.
Because the reason I'm asking it is that most people who argue for it would say that we want a legislation in process, we want some kind of rule in process to say that once you've adopted it, it's secure.
Objection. Like this is not relevant. This doesn't inform us onto whether or not queer people should even adopt kids, because again, the statement, the argument from us is that they are better parents on average, especially for kids with diverse needs, which is kids you often see in the adoption system in the first place.
No, the data doesn't show that at all. The data shows that the kids are more likely to be depressed, suicidal, and drug addicts.
Yeah,
according to you, but not according to any data we've seen.
Well-adjusted, they're resilient. They're
yeah. See, so this is why initially I was going to be good faith and not do this. Initially, what I was going to say is that if you're okay. Look, no,
okay.
I don't know if I should say this or not, but okay, fine. Look, okay. So the fact of the matter is that if you look at loads of NGOs out there, charities out there that will put the data out there, you can't actually get a study done today because of the ethics boards that have been completely infiltrated by activists that will not allow a study to be done. If you actually try and look and say, how many domestic violence cases involve people of a certain religion, involve people of a certain sexual orientation, the amount of data that you have to sift through to get a real answer is staggering. There are so many. The relevance is that there's people that are actually barring research. People are actually barring relevant research from being done because they want to protect certain groups.
I think this is just
so you have designated special victims. Sorry?
That didn't make sense.
I think in fact,
I can't hear when both of you talk. When both of you talk, I can't hear you.
Can I say one thing and then I'll let you take over? I think in fact you would see because academia or whatever is like super left wing and all these like all this gay acceptance and stuff. You would actually see you would see more good science going on in these fields specifically because there are going to be people who are invested in making sure or in figuring out the causes of issues.
You actually see more biased science.
Well, Damon, you contradicted yourself. You contradict when you said there's too much data, we can't go through it all, but also saying that they're stifling the research. You can't have it both ways. There's a lot of data.
No. What I'm saying is
they've done a lot of research. So
you just don't like the data.
So that paper that I just posted goes through a lot of data, but also explains it to you by an actual researcher.
Yeah. So what Damon's pointing to, So what Damon's pointing to at the moment is like, for example, the way they were able to cover up and hide all this grooming gang scandals in England was because they literally, in some cases, ignored 66% of the data just to paint it out that it was white British people that were doing these grooming gangs. Versus when you look at the whole picture and all the data, it actually exposed that the fact that it was only 4% of the population were Pakistani Muslims, they're responsible for over 60% of the grooming scandal. Okay, so this whole thing of like we have all the data, we're data.
They added 66%. They added 66% to the white category.
It doesn't matter that 66% because it's probably police data, not research data. Firstly, secondly, that's an argument for Pakistanis not to.
No, it was the European Commission that did the research.
Here's the criticism. Your criticism was there's so much data, but then the data is unreliable. We just explained why the data gets unreliable.
There was a University of Virginia study that was a big study. That was one that's usually quoted, which was the adoption rates of lesbian and gay families, which tried to display that these children are just as well adjusted as those that are adopted by heterosexual families. And they also concluded that they follow similar patterns of gender development, right? Now, this paper, if you go into critical analysis of this paper, you realize that not only was the results portrayed in a completely biased way, right? They factored in, so there was a massive abuse of semantics. There was a massive abuse of semantics when it came to how they presented the results, saying they follow similar patterns of gender development. Similar in what that similarity was that they went through the development stages at the same years of life, but the actual outcome of the gender that they aligned with, whether or not they were cisgender or whether or not they were something else, that shit wasn't the same. But they said, no, the similarity was they went through those stages of development at the same years, when they started exploring their sexuality, when they started acting as if they were... Sorry, go ahead. What?
That's not enough to refute an entire paper. You can critique the way that they did their method.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. If you show any kind of dishonesty in how you're presenting the data... then yes, you can refute it.
No, but here's the difference. It sounds like you disagree with certain.
No. There was lots of other stuff that was invalid about that. First of all, they acted like it was an accurate population.
Did anyone do a follow-up? Did anyone challenge it in a different paper?
Sorry?
Was there like a paper that challenged it? And
well, sure.
I don't have that with me right now, but there were people who challenged it. Yeah, it was a university of.
Was there peer-reviewed research that challenged it?
Okay. How are you going to look at? Look, if you're saying that the whole institution is being rife with this kind of shit, peer review doesn't really mean that much.
Well, it doesn't mean that much.
It doesn't mean what it meant anymore.
Like, people actually care about peer review and understand why it's there and the effectiveness of it. Like, but you just want to dismiss it for convenience.
Yeah, no, it's not. I think we're getting into.
If you're trying to tell, okay. Explain one thing.
Why we're getting into the weeds. I think you're gesturing at things that you don't like about science, but these aren't actual refutations of
we're not getting
themselves.
Like we're giving you counter data, and then you say we don't believe your data.
Showing
we don't believe your data. That's what it always is. Or you're interpreting.
Wait, let Furby finish.
Refutation.
Okay, so here's my refutation. Right, you're arguing if you support this paper and if you support a lot of this research. What you're arguing for is you're saying that even if gay people are raising kids that they've adopted, okay, what's going to happen is their developmental cycle is going to be normal, as if it was a heterosexual family that raised them, okay? Which means that if that's the case, and we've gone year on year since 2004, there's been an increase in the amount of gay people who are adopting kids all across Europe and in America. Okay, it's increasing year on year. So if you look at that, you should say that if all of the research is accurate and true, that we're going to see, since society standards have relatively been the same with regards to acceptance of gay people, since the schools are talking about it in roughly the same way as they have over the past 20 odd years now. Sorry?
You think schools in Florida haven't become more anti-gay over like the past 10 years under DeSantis?
Okay, even if that's true, then you're making my point for me with what I'm about to say now. What we should see, if that's the case, is we should see at best the level of kids who are identifying as LGBTQ to either flatline and be the same as what they've been over the past 20 years, or if what you're saying is true, it should decline.
You made an error. So you said that we should see that in LGBTQ kids. No, we would see that in all kids raised by queer parents. Because again, we're making the arguments about queer parents.
No, I'm not making, listen to what I'm saying. I'm saying that if LGBTQ parents are going to be raising kids and the data is correct, the research is correct, and when it says that they are going to develop the gender identity wise, sexuality wise, the same as kids raised by heterosexual parents, then the number of kids in schools who identify as LGBTQ, that number should stay the same year on year. Okay?
No, first of all,
because hang a second. Wait. Let me explain something. The argument that the homophobic people are making.
The second time you've said this, I'm going to respond. This is a
Let me say respond. I want you to respond to something else that I'm going to add as well.
Guys, hold
Let
on,
Damon finish.
Hold on. Damon, land the plane. Hold on. Damon, land the plane, please. And then Mel, you got the next response.
The only thing I want you to address in what I'm saying is this as well. Okay. The homophobes out there, the argument that they're making is, oh, if gay people start raising these kids, then these kids, they're going to be grooming them to be gay. So if the data is accurate and says, no, they're not grooming them to be gay, the kids grow up just as straight as when heterosexual people raise them, or if they're going to be gay anyway, it will be the same number as it is in hetero families, then what we should see in schools is that the number of people who identify as LGBTQ, percentage-wise, should be the same.
Okay.
So go ahead and counter that. If you want to counter it, counter it. Let's see what you say.
Mel, you got the floor.
No, that is not actually how you would make a hypothesis about multivariate issues that could easily be explained, more easily be explained through other routes, such as LGBTQIA plus parents are more likely to be accepting of their child's identity. Therefore, that child might be just more likely to express that identity. So again, you wouldn't expect to see this. Also, you would want to tie that variable, that univariate metric that you're using to an increase or decrease in the amount of queer families that exist. You'd actually want to keep track of how many queer families are adopting and then tie that to it. You wouldn't just say, I guess we'll just see spontaneous change that could also be caused by the weather. You obviously want to control for certain things.
Yeah, so the counter to this is basically, because remember, Furby was saying like this whole thing of like, oh, like there's more hate for LGBTQ and all stuff. But when we actually look at the results and see the kids, how many kids are identifying with LGBTQ, we can track back through previous generations, and it goes from like, a couple of percent up to 10%, and now in modern day, about 20% of kids are identifying as LGBTQ plus. So this whole thing of like there's a negative stigma around like LGBTQ shit is false. It's erroneous. It's wrong. So the point to Damon's Damon's main point here is the fact that we're more it's less stigmatized now than ever throughout history, but we still see extremely high self-deletion rates, extremely high or when we compare that to the Jays when they were persecuted, when they were sent to camps and worked to death, when they were executed, the self-deletion rates were not as high as they are in this community, and they're saying this community should be allowed to adopt children.
So to address that more specifically,
they have yet to provide a single reason why LGBT should be able to adopt.
We already did.
Me and Damon have been pointing out all this shit.
We already did. You're just clueless. So
because people want, because your excuses, people want kids. You're to clarify. Your excuses, people want kids. People want kids because they want kids, which is a circular definition. You have not been able to provide a single reason.
All right, guys. All right, guys.
Well, you should tell that your partner. That's the one who's spoken at the moment.
Guys, let's chill it out. Let's chill it out here.
Continuous fuck.
Let's chill it out here.
More ad-homs.
You can't just look at the amount of people who are becoming LGBTQIA and say, okay, well, that must be a zero-sum fallacy with the amount of hatred that's being expressed. For example, the amount of hatred that's actually being expressed online goes up when Trump gets elected. That doesn't mean that we see less people coming out, because guess what? They're already out. It means that these things can diverge or converge on the chart, and so we can't use one to assume the position of the other.
You're saying a lot of nothing, dude.
Yeah.
No, that's
No, she's
literally.
You're saying a whole lot of nothing.
I'm
Just
literally
because you
saying you're
understand
saying
it
a whole lot of
doesn't
nothing.
Explain in everything that you said, explain how it counts for jumps of like 0.4% up to like 30% in some cases. And you're saying
Why do
that
we
this
need to
isn't
explain that?
societal influence.
See, I think you're gesturing
is
at
the
the mic again. I think this thing just bothers you and confuses you a bit. So then you're like, it must be bad, but no, this is just something.
We
that
talk
No.
about Mike.
I
He's
know
way
what I
quieter
am. It
than the
doesn't
rest of
bother
us.
me. It doesn't bother me or confuse me. I know what I am. The only thing that bothers me
No, if you go
is
to
wanting to
settings, you
put
can
a
like move the
child.
bar up. That's what I did.
So if you can show me some sort of like link to your claims, I don't think that they're credible. I think that you're just saying things that are convenient to your own narrative. And so
So you think? Hang a second. Look, all as we keep seeing from people who argue for this kind of stuff is nothing but arguments saying one thing which should indicate a certain outcome, but the outcome is the opposite. And then you say, oh, well, the reason is because it's fluid. It's on a spectrum. It's this, it's that. Explain to me if you're trying to say that society now, do you believe that society now is less accepting of gay people than it was 20 years ago?
especially in America, yes.
Yes, it is. Okay.
Right now,
so
like
why
this
is it
moment,
why is it then that the amount of kids who are feeling safe enough to come out openly is
increasing.
staggeringly increased than what it was 20 years ago?
Because the people who are accepting of it are more accepting of it than they were, and the people who aren't.
That makes
are less.
zero fucking sense.
There's something
makes
called
That makes zero fucking sense, dude.
Visibility.
So there's
No.
something-
That makes zero fucking sense.
No, I don't think you understand.
First of all, the first part that you said was completely nonsense. The fact that you think society is more acceptable today than it was 20 years ago. 20 years ago, let's not forget, you had rappers talking about shooting gay people.
There's been a rampage from the Republican Party against LGBTQ people.
Buddy,
Like,
20
you guys
years
are-
ago,
mad at
20 years ago,
Okay, hold up.
dude,
Go on,
20
Damon.
years ago, 20 years ago, it was acceptable for rappers to talk about shooting gay people in the face. It was acceptable to make the most
still happens.
insane gay jokes on TV about
you're
people.
talking about
No. You would get cancelled overnight if you said that today. Nobody says that shit today.
Getting canceled.
20 years ago, 20 years ago, we didn't have the LGBTQ community. 20 years ago, we didn't have pride parades. 20 years ago, we didn't have trans kids reading to children.
Dude,
Bullshit. They were all there. All those things were there. You just didn't know about them because you're dumb.
Last year,
Ragtime Story Hour was there 20 years ago, was it?
All right, hold on. I have a question here,
Probably was.
Damon, you're bringing up how life was like 20 years ago, etc. And I agree with you. Yes, those
There was
types
no
of things
gay community?
No, as
There was
far
no
as,
pride.
like, the
There was
gay-
no
the
pride
jokes-
parades. There was
hold
no
on,
trans
hold on.
storytelling era.
Tarek, let me
Yes, there
let me
was
clarify.
actually 20
Let me
years
clarify a little bit more. When it came to the jokes, the music, etc., it was a little bit more vulgar when it came to certain jokes, and people were a little bit more accepting on that. The times have changed. Nowadays, you'll get canceled on that. Damon, where are you going with this point exactly?
The fact of the matter is that we have been moving. I agree with some of the some of the stuff that Trump has been doing over the past few months. I agree they're cracking down on some of the stuff, right? But largely, what you tend to see is society is becoming more and more, not just tolerant, not just accepting, but championing the LGBTQ people. So
especially in
now,
spite of the Republican Party trying to be like more aggressive towards them. Yes, absolutely.
I just said that to you, dude. I just said that.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, I think
I'm
you
saying
guys
people
are
are being more accepting, but there's also a wave. And well, you just said Trump, but there's a wave of Republican politics that has been invested in this topic and invested in demonizing LGBTQ people.
Yes,
And
so
every single
Ryan.
time that they try to do that, every single time they try to shut something down in schools or whatever, the schools will double down and go 100% the opposite way.
Yeah, because they almost always do it illegally. They almost always do it unconstitutionally because they don't care about the law. They just hate gay people like you guys.
You're not making a point here. You're not actually arguing with me on anything.
Actually.
I've said this.
The Republicans have the same failed logic that you have. They don't actually
Yes.
address.
So
the
Ryan,
issue.
here's
Buddy,
the question.
hold on,
Ryan, here's the
guys,
question.
guys.
Here's the question, Ryan. Here's the question, right? If there is a more hateful attitude towards the LGBT community, why are you seeing an increase in people identifying as LGBT?
He just said because those people who support them a lot more.
Yeah,
Well, yeah.
which is retarded.
It's
Because if
just
there's more
retarded.
people who
Exactly.
hate LGBT, they're not going to be able to pass all this shit. You've
And
just
then-
showed your
then-
point,
We're gonna
Ryan.
have those.
But-
We're gonna.
and
those
also,
people are gonna
Ryan,
be more
Ryan,
comfortable
follow-up
with
question.
the
Follow-up
allyship that
question
they
to you,
see.
Ryan.
With
Hold
the
on.
allyship they see pushing back against people like you guys, right? They want to be out with people like us who aren't gonna fucking sit here and demonize gay people
So,
for no
so
reason.
buddy,
which is what you guys
if
have been
what
doing
you're
this
saying
entire
is
time.
true, if what you're saying is true, and the support that they're getting from those people is strong enough to make their numbers grow massively, right? If that support that they're getting is strong enough,
There's also a
why
lot more
then?
people like who are like non-binary and stuff, which would fall under the umbrella too. So that's another thing.
Yeah, yeah, but considering those numbers are growing and then they feel safe enough among you guys to be coming out and identifying as what they are, why, if that support is so crucial and that support is what's making that happen, are at the same time have they got more instances of things like mental illness and desire to self-delete? Because the support structure is there. You're saying the support is there, right?
Well, not for everyone.
They're feeling safe enough to come out. This is why we're seeing jumps.
At an aggregate level, there's general more societal tolerance of gay people being out, right? So people might feel more comfortable coming out of the closet. That doesn't mean that everyone around them is going to be okay with them coming out of the closet, right?
Buddy, this makes no sense. This makes no sense what you're saying.
It makes plenty of sense. You're just being obtuse.
No.
See,
And it goes back to the earlier point that Furby made when you were talking about if you're going to give a child to a family like this, and we were talking about the mental health and the stability in the household, and people are saying, oh, well, the reason why you're seeing they're going to be better parents is because they're more likely to go for mental health help than what straight people are. No, I don't think the thing is that they're more likely to because they need it. The reason is they're more likely to because they have a much, much, much higher prevalence of mental health issues than what you see in hetero relationships. That's the real reason. Mental health issues exist in the LGBTQ at higher prevalences than they do in heterosexual people. That's what you're overlooking. So you can't say they're more likely to be secure.
More prevalent in those communities. That has nothing to do with anything I said, though.
No, but what you're just saying now, they feel safe enough to come out, but then they still have persecution, they still have issues. Regardless of if it's something that's ingrained in them, that they're mentally ill, or if it's something that society is doing as an external factor. The fact of the matter is they end up needing mental health care. Okay? And whether or not it's their fault because
you probably
they're
do too,
terrible
by the way,
people.
Damon. Just as a layman analysis, I suspect that you would do well in therapy.
Right. Okay, cool. So at the end of the day, whether or not it's their fault, whether or not it's something that's wrong with them or something that's been done to them, whether or not it's just that they're a victim of something that's given them that, whatever the case is, it's not a good idea to put a kid in. If you've got two groups that you can hand a kid over to, and one is unfortunately predisposed to have mental health issues, the other one isn't so much. If that's one of the factors that you're going to look at, you need to be aware of that.
We have to evaluate a lot more factors than that. If we're just
I agree that you should evaluate more factors.
Situation where we're literally evaluating two different couples. There's a lot more we could look at.
Yeah, you should evaluate things like, for example, if you're looking at
we wouldn't look at the aggregate on whether or not they're gay or straight. That's the stupidest way to analyze this.
I'm not saying that. That's
literally what you're saying.
Dude, in this particular instance, I actually made a point of not even bringing the sexuality into it. I brought the mental health issue into it. Okay? So if you're going to go by assessing mental health,
but you're using this as a proxy to make the broader point,
I'm
right?
not using it as a proxy. I'm saying that if you're going to make one of the factors, we shouldn't put it into families that are going to have mental health issues. Then
I'm not even agreeing with that. I mean, there's mental health issues in every family.
Okay,
really quick, Damon, Melody, I think you have something to say. You just said in the back chat. I'll give you the floor here to respond to Damon.
I'm gonna go to the bathroom.
And you can switch out with Ryan.
Pile.
That's fine. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to point out, like, Damon, you keep pointing to statistics and stuff. I personally, and this is constructive criticism, think you can handle these things. I'm seeing you a lot making like unsound scientific premises, such as since we see X, we should see Y, even though these are multivariate things and could be affected by a lot of other environmental factors. You seem to think that we can just derive. easy, kind of convenient to your narrative conclusions from them. My suggestion would be to
Supporting
understand that you don't have like much scientific literacy, because we sure as hell will not be looking at your scared, confused gesturing as anything more than scared, confused gesturing. Now, if you want to stay clueless, don't listen to what I'm about to say. Again, people who are LGBTQIA plus are more likely to be in the adoption cycle whatsoever. So this is even more reason why we should have LGBTQIA plus people who are able to adopt them and stuff like that available, because those are the kids who need someone who understands what they're going through, plain and simple.
Okay, so who wants to respond to that? Teriak, one at a time, please.
Yeah, so again, it's this circular definition where gay people should be allowed to adopt children because gay people want to adopt children. There's actually no justification through this whole debate so far that they've been able to do it. And this is what, like, I call this. I was like, this is going to be one massive internal critique. And turns out they can't even put forward a position to be critiqued. It's a circular definition. It's... This is the easiest win I've ever had in my entire life.
Wait. No way you just got that from what she said. She explicitly said that gay children would benefit from having LGBTQ plus parents.
Because,
and gay children
because LGBT parents want LGBTQ
no,
children, which is what Damon's point was pointing out. That if you let these people in, they'll push this ideology on them. I've just answered the question.
Explicitly said that it might be better for LGBTQ plus children to have LGBTQ plus parents adopt them.
Which goes to the
not about parents. So that's what you brought up. So why are you saying that's
your original statement, Ryan, or Anne Furby, your thing is LGBT want to adopt because they want to adopt, and then all you're doing is to change it is that they want to adopt LGBT children. It's still the same.
We're saying that LGBTQ plus children are better off in this situation.
They should be allowed to do it because they want to do it.
There's no justification whatsoever. Hold up. The question that I've got, the response that I've got is...
I don't want to be talked over during my response, please. So
it's not your response, it's Damon's response.
We could say the exact same thing about normative relationships too. They just want to have kids because they just want to have kids. It's just a feeling inside your brain that you want to have kids. You people get confused as well.
Because men and women can actually make their own kids. They don't have to rely on adoption.
The fact that some words, and this is, by the way, a linguist actually said this, Wittgenstein, he said words are how, the definition of words are how we use them, right? Like woman, what is a woman? The definition of words is how we use them. That you get stuck on the idea that
the problem with Wittgenstein is he came out at a time of pop philosophy when everyone was talking all kinds of shit, like the Beauvoir and Sartre as well, just to sound smart. It was just an exercise in pop philosophy to get credibility.
I'm not done monologuing, by the way. If you get to have yours, I want mine. So now you keep saying that we don't have arguments. I can go even
literally further. Furby just went on a monologue. Another monologue.
Wait, Furby, I had a question about what you said.
Finish your monologue. Shut up.
All right. Great. You should write it.
Hold on. Everybody, shut up. Melv, go ahead and finish it off, and then I have a question for the left side of this argument. Go ahead, Melv.
Teriak keeps incorrectly claiming that I am not making a forward position for why it should be allowed. Again, I can keep going deeper with this and unpacking this more. Adoption is actually a legal process. You end up inheriting the people stuff. That person is literally your family in more ways than just one. And so when it comes, you want to be with that person long term. You want to think of somebody who you can be with long term. People who may not watch some random right wing video on the internet and be like, "Oh, I guess the transphobic rhetoric makes sense." It would make a better parent for a trans child.
Hold on, Teriak.
Would not make a better parent for a trans child than a trans person who's not going to be misled by Tucker Carlson.
Okay. Melv and Ryan, I got a question for you guys just to kind of shoot out this really quick. Specifically for you guys. Do you guys believe that the LGBTQ adopting children have better outcomes than people who are heterosexual adopting children as far as the totality?
That's what they said.
Yeah, as far as the totality. Yeah, I'm asking both of y'all. Ryan, you can go ahead and respond to that. As far as
my
totality.
understanding, based on the data, and I can publish I post some stuff in the back because I actually am willing to share my data, unlike our opponents here. But yeah, it does seem to be the case that they are at least as good, in some cases even better, due to a variety of reasons.
For the totality, so you would say homosexuals, LGBTQ raise better children than heterosexual couples, right? That's your.
I mean, they can. I would say
what's the totality in your opinion?
Yeah, I mean it's possible, but broadly they're at least as good as where I would
Yeah,
stand,
but
where I would like put my
okay,
heels
as
in.
good, but you don't think they're better?
I think sometimes they can be, but that
So
doesn't
it's
mean
equal?
that they are
You'd say
better.
So it's equal?
Yeah, basically.
Actually, sometimes they
Mel-
can be. You're
really
supposed
quick,
to have
really quick.
data.
Really quick, Melv,
I do.
do you agree with Ryan on that, or do you believe LGBTQ raise better children than heterosexual?
Well, there's
on a totality.
I diverge on nuance a bit just because the paper I posted shows like for kids who don't have like diverse needs or anything like that, it tends to be the same. But for kids who do have diverse needs, we see an increase of beneficial outcomes. I also want to point out that like if you want like better outcomes for all children, right? Like making it easier to adopt in general is better because then they'll actually have somewhere they can be instead of wasting away in a group home.
So you would say it's equal, right, when it comes to heterosexual couples and homosexual couples or LGBTQ?
On its face, until we examine it deeper
in
and
totality.
look at children with more complex needs. And and I forgot. I wanted to state one more thing. I think I can make an inductive argument that children who are raised by people who are more open-minded tend to be more open-minded.
Well, I'm saying
we want more
just the average
children.
child.
We want more open-minded children, and LGBTQ plus I plus people are more open-minded. Therefore, we can expect that children raised by them will be more open-minded.
Sure. But what about just the average kid that's just wanting to play with toys and watch cartoons? Are they better off with LGBTQ parents, or are they better off with heterosexual parents that are biologically their kid? Them.
Like,
biological parents, or
I can't speak to particulars, but I don't think there'd be a difference.
I would say they're better off with two. Right. I would say they're better off with two parents or even one parent than no parents.
Yeah, okay, that's fair enough. But I'm saying, like, what about two gay parents or two heterosexual parents?
But that's not really how the adoption process
kid,
works.
Just the average kid. The average kid.
But you understand that's not how the adoption process. They're not like evaluating, like, okay, do we give them to the gays or do we give them to the straights? That's
no,
just
I
not
understand
how
that,
works,
but I'm talking about the totality of things because you guys were kind of lukewarm on that. I know Teriak and Damon can answer that question very clearly. I'll ask the same question to them. Teriak, what do you think totality-wise? What is better in those two scenarios?
I think it's worse as society in general.
By what metric?
Because even if we grant their whole case, that's like, yeah, it's better if LGBT kids get adopted by LGBT parents, and even the straight kids, it's better for them. It's a better household, all this kind of shit. We still have this question that they've tried to run from or dodge from, where Damon says, you're saying it's more stigmatized now, but we're seeing an increase of rates. Then what happens if all these parents, these LGBT parents, start adopting straight kids? Do you not think that that's going to influence it and increase the thing throughout society?
I don't think it's
basically a flawed.
Okay,
so I guess we give them time to answer. We don't interrupt. But then
you guys have interrupted us all. Like I said,
this whole dynamic. I will continue to speak. This whole dynamic.
Hold on.
Yeah. So. This whole dynamic of the debate has been one dodge from our opponents, where it's just like, well, we don't have to give you a reason why you should.
I'll tell you what's a dodge.
You know what I mean? It's like this whole thing of like, oh, it's better outcomes. You know what I mean? But like the essence of why should kids adopt, or why should LGBT kids adopt a kid because they want the kid? There's no actual justification. So the whole argument is just because they want to.
So here's something that you actually ran from. When
Damon has to answer the question as well.
Yeah,
so Damon, answer the question.
So really quick, Damon, I would assume that you would choose the heterosexuals, but what's your opinion on that?
I keep taking it back to this thing, which I still haven't heard an answer for, which is why do gay people want to adopt a kid?
Hold on. Damon, before you go into that, I want to get a fucking answer to my question. As a totality, which is better for kids to be adopted by? Heterosexual or, transgenders and bis, etc.?
The longest studies that actually look at a variety of factors that point to across the board what will give you a better quality of life with regards to outcomes of success, stability, happiness, quotients, and all of that stuff points to being raised by a mother and a father. Okay,
but I'm talking. Hold on. Specifically, I'm specifically. Ryan. Specifically, adoption. So they're being raised by not their biological father. Two heterosexual couples or two homosexual couples.
Assuming
what do you think is the better outcome for that child?
Yeah. Assuming that we're still doing all of the checks with regards to making sure that the people are safe and stable, still a heterosexual couple.
Okay,
A
great.
child
Got my
needs
answer.
a mother and a father. You need that love and nurturing from a mother, as well as the discipline and the love that you get from a father. You
You can
need
get both those
it's the
things from
best
both
of both
parents.
worlds.
You should get both those things from both parents, to be clear.
Yeah, I know, but the thing is that you're not going to get the same nurturing from a dude pretending to be a mother as you will from a woman who is a mother, right? I'm sorry.
You also wouldn't get the same nurturing from a mother who's not so nurturing, and
Oh, yeah,
than you
no.
would from a
This
father who
is
is more
buddy,
nurturing.
buddy.
I
No,
can
no,
give
no,
you a
no,
very
no,
easy
no.
example. A very easy
Don't
example.
worm like that. Don't worm like that because I specifically
It's not
said
worming.
you're going to be.
It's actually a better understanding of like real
Dude,
human
no,
nature
no,
than
no,
just
no.
like
I
the
did
gender
say
essentialist bullshit.
To give
Buddy,
a very
I did
easy
say-
example. Two
Hold
gay
on.
men. Two gay
Teriak,
men
one
adopt
sec.
a daughter.
Teriak, one sec, Teriak. I did
Calm down,
say that
Teriak,
if we
yeah.
do the checks, if somebody goes and assesses that this is going to be a loving household, right? So not some cold ice queen bitch of a mother, right? But somebody who's actually, yes, they can be affectionate. They know how to be around children. They both want a child who they're going to nurture. Let me ask you, why would you deny a kid the opportunity to have a mother raise him as well as a father?
We could give him two mothers.
Yeah, I have a question.
I
Yes,
said
okay,
as
so-
well as a father.
Wait, I have a question.
So
I have
then
a
the question
question.
goes,
I have a
no,
question.
hold up. I'm waiting for Ryan to give us an answer.
Yeah, he did. So I
He
have a
said
question.
just
He
put two
didn't.
fathers
No,
in
he
there,
didn't.
but-
No, he didn't.
Yes,
Well,
he did.
Ryan-
He said he could do two mothers or two fathers.
You just don't like my answer. That's fine. You don't have to like
No,
it.
no,
So
no.
go ahead.
I said, why would you deny one of the
question for you.
parents?
Damon,
Why
will
would
you
you?
let me
Why
answer
would you
my
not want a kid to have a mother and a
Damon, stop
father?
running from my question, bro.
I'm
It's
not
very
denying
simple.
it.
Shut up, dude. I'm asking Ryan a question. Why would you not
I
want
told
a
you. I
kid
told
to
you an
have a
answer you don't
mother
like, so
and a
you shut
father?
up, bitch.
Yeah,
Let Mel
you
go.
just-
You can't give the fucking answer.
You just don't like the answer. So I'm going
Yeah,
to show
so they
you how to
keep
handle
I
it.
dodging
don't
this
like
is the
the
whole
answer. You
debate.
didn't
They'll
fucking
just
answer
keep
it.
dodging this issue.
guys,
So the
guys.
key thing,
This is
the key
the
example.
crux of it. This is the
So
whole
we're gonna
crux.
chill out.
Yes.
So we're gonna chill out.
Yeah.
Hold on, guys. We're gonna chill out for 1 second. He just asked why. Okay, first off, I didn't hear Ryan saying that he would deny opposite sex of parents here. So that wasn't the case. I'll give you that, Ryan. However, his question is as far as the same sex couples. Damon, please re-ask the question. Ryan, please answer it. Let's just reset this
Can I
whole
go
thing
after
really
that
quick.
too? 'Cause
And then I'll let Mel take the floor.
Thank you.
Damon, please ask a coherent question, please.
Yeah, why would you deny a kid the opportunity to be raised by both a mother and a father?
Okay, Ryan.
I'm not. I don't deny kids that right or whatever. I don't deny kids that opportunity. I just say that also the parents who want. I'm just saying that like same-sex couples should also be allowed to adopt children. You're the one denying that like certain people should be refused to adopt children based on sexuality. I don't give a shit.
You're ignoring
Okay.
the logic of the fact that if you put a kid into a same-sex household, you are denying that kid the opportunity to be raised by a mother and a father. There are loads of parents
I
who are
don't agree.
waiting.
I think you're giving them
There
the
are
opportunity
loads
to be
of
raised by two loving
heterosexual.
parents.
There are loads of heterosexual couples on waiting lists who want to adopt a kid, but they can't because of reasons that say you have to also prioritize gay families who want to adopt.
No, that's
Okay.
bullshit.
Gay? No,
That's
it's
bullshit.
true, dude. No, current data, the last current data from 2024
Put it up or shut up.
says
Put it up or shut
that
up. Put at least
over
one link in the
one
chat.
in
Yeah,
five.
post it. Post a single
What-
fucking link.
Hold on,
I
hold
just
on.
check out Corin's data for 2024.
Damon,
Okay.
read it out loud. Just read it out loud to us, please. Read
So
out the
that
data.
one is, yeah, I'm just getting it now. 1
Just let
second.
him read out the data for
So
us.
okay, so yeah, more than 1 in 5 children were placed with lesbian, gay, bi, or trans adopters. That's from Corin's adoption agency in 2024.
Okay, so
So the 2024 rate is that 1 in 5, and also it's been increasing year on year.
Still not the
Yeah,
case.
they're more likely to adopt. That doesn't mean they're being
I have a
prioritized,
question
right?
now.
That's, do you understand? Hang on.
1
You
in
understand that's
5
the same thing?
kids, 1 in 5 kids being given up for adoption.
I'm sorry, yeah, I
Over
went
1
on
in
logo. I
5.
apologize. No.
So
Reclaim
over
my
1 in
time.
5 kids are being given to gay couples.
No, you got to turn your volume up. But shut up, Damon. Let her go.
So, yeah, well, no,
Dude, you're not acting.
Well,
You're not
yeah.
acting very ladylike with the way you're talking.
So you can't just complain that, like, first of all, even if I grant that it's true, you can't just complain that's the case because that could mean that there's a higher influx of trans or queer kids who need queer parents. So, you know, even if that's true, we can think of rational reasons that exists. You just want to be afraid of it. I think when you look at
Stop
when you-
projecting.
I think when
Yeah.
you try to use the gender of the parent to draw
Arms is one
lines
big
of
at-home.
outcomes, I think when you try to use the gender of a parent to draw lines of outcomes, you run into an issue, which is that single father households tend to do better than single mother households. So then a gay male household should do better than a cisgender
No.
household simply because there are 2 men there and not 1 man and 1 woman.
No, again, this is a false, because I can give a very easy example. Because two gay men, let's say, adopt a female. They have a daughter, okay? Which one of them is going to talk them through the period cramps and all this kind of shit?
Their teacher.
It's better to have a woman there, their actual mother, who's going to walk them through that process.
Wow. Did you just say the teacher is going to do that?
Their doctor, yeah. Ryan made a good point. Their doctor.
The teacher, right? Okay, yeah. Let's do that. Let's have a.
You don't think that like it's very common for girls to have their first
so
period in
so one
school
sec.
and
So
have
you
to talk
admit
about
so
that
you
with
admit
teachers?
there is part of the experience, right?
I'm
So there is
asking
part of the
Damon a
experience.
question. I'm
Yeah,
asking Damon a question,
because you're
Jack.
running, you're fucking running.
I'm actually asking.
So
No, I'm actually
there is
asking
part of
Damon
the
a question
experience
because-
there is part of the experience
dude,
between an actual mother and a
calm down.
father
Why do you
that
act like
will
you
not
didn't-
actually translate when you have two of the same sex.
Why are you protecting him? From
It's a
this
different
question?
experience, correct? It's a different experience.
So Damon,
Yeah.
don't you?
It's a different experience.
Don't you acknowledge
Why are you
that
running?
girls
Why are
often will
you
have their
running?
first period in class and
Why
then
are
are
you
likely
running?
to get assistance from their teacher in that?
Yeah, but
in
their
that
mother can
situation?
walk them through that ahead of time.
Is your name fucking Damon?
Yeah, no, but you're not just going to overlap the point that I'm making. You're the one saying.
Well, you brought it up after I made this point. You brought up a new point.
Your claim,
you're trying to pivot away from what I
your
said.
claim is your claim. It does not matter to have a mother and a father. And then I gave an example where two gay men and a female child. It's more advantage to have.
Yeah, and then I gave a situation that's perfectly common where people are fully qualified to give information about these things because it happens all the time. I'm literally engaging with your point.
You would admit it's more beneficial to society to have the mother teach that daughter what periods are and all this kind of shit.
As long as the kid gets that knowledge, I don't care. I don't care who she learns it from. As long as she gets that knowledge.
So we need to then employ doctors and all this kind of shit.
Some mothers might not even be like good at that.
To employ doctors? Oh no.
If you want me to also answer, yeah, I acknowledge the fact that this happens with kids in schools, right? And the teacher doesn't usually or didn't usually used to overstep their bounds with when they're talking to the kid about what's going on and making them know that it's all okay. What usually would tend to happen is that kid would get sent home.
Cool.
What are you mumbling? I can't hear you.
I can quickly tell you how that's not true. Jake, you can always feel free to turn me back
wait,
up.
Wait. Let me finish talking because I wasn't allowed to talk over you last time.
Hold on, really quick.
Yeah.
Melv, what was your request?
You can turn me back up since you clearly turned me down like a prick and refused to fix it. So, Damon.
Oh my, look at this.
Melv. The way my setup
Melv
works.
instead of Mel.
The way my setup works is that I can't
Is that
actually
like a
control.
transphobic jab?
Ryan, can you shut up?
I'm just asking, like, why are you saying that?
Can you just shut up, dude? Let me respond to
It is a transphobic jab, right?
Oh God, seriously?
It is.
I'm just asking.
So,
Like, it's okay if it is. I mean, like, you live your life.
Ryan, you brought up
dude.
this is
Ryan,
just
shut
open
up, dude.
fucking
tampon in and let him finish.
I'm sorry,
Let
Mr.
me-
Mod.
let me-
I apologize.
Let me answer Melv's question here. Melv, I'm not turning you down, bro. My setup does not work to where you guys are specific on the volume to where I can turn it up. It's all
nobody
one
knows how to stream
stereo
audio.
here.
Okay, cool.
It's all one stereo. That's all it is. Melv, get a better setup if you're complaining about it. It has nothing to do with
No, I don't
me.
think that's true. I think
So,
you can control
very
different
professional.
volumes. Actually.
So,
Very professional.
Like, click on the little three dots next to her icon. Like, you can do that.
I love the way like that they're failing so bad this debate. They're now actually going after the moderator. This is fucking
Okay,
hilarious.
so dude,
I don't
let me
think we're going
just respond to Ryan. So
you can never be criticized for anything.
Ryan,
the moderator's not being professional.
Very smart
Mom,
No, he's
the
not.
moderator's
He's
not being professional.
throwing transphobic jabs, which is kind of cringe. but
so
I can-
Ryan,
Yeah, and you
dude,
brought up my
with
ethnicity.
regards
You were
to
racist at the start.
with regards to your point that you made earlier on, when everyone else like cut in, yeah, that stuff can happen at schools. When it happens at schools that a girl goes through that, she usually has her parents called in, and the parents will take her out, take her home for the rest of the day, and the parents will explain that. Well, they're not going to be available if she's got two dads, right? She's not going to have a mother who's going to be able to talk to her about that
What
stuff.
if her mom's at work?
What if she doesn't want to go to their parents?
Dude, mothers will, literally every single time that I remember that happening, whether it was to my cousins, whether it was to three girls that I helped raise
Or
because
maybe
I
the
had
go talk to the
illness in the
school nurse
family,
even.
every single time. No, the mother would make time.
After it
The
happened.
mother would always make time.
The school nurse.
Okay, and if she can't, then
I
we
mean,
can just
but
talk to the
dude,
school nurse, right?
all of this again comes back to the fact that you're trying to go around and make all of these other arguments. What about this? What about that? What about that? What about the fact that you want to again deny a kid from having a mother and a father in place of having
That's not
two
what's
fathers or
happening.
two mothers?
What's happening is you
Why
want
do
to
you
deny
want to
gay
do that?
people from being allowed to adopt, and you want to reframe the
No,
conversation
buddy,
over and over.
buddy,
to avoid-
listen.
No,
How
man,
about
you've given
how
me the
about I give
hypothetical.
you this? How about I give you this, right?
You can give me whatever
this
you
is
want.
this is how I'm not against gay people having a kid, because like I said, if we do full safety checks, I will acknowledge that there's probably some gay people that could do a better job. I don't want to build a blanket policy on the fact that there's certain outliers that might be better at it. Okay.
Wait a minute.
So
wait, can I ask you a question about that? Wait, I want to clarify. I want to clarify. Really important.
Hold up. I didn't.
So you're saying
I
you would
didn't
not make a
interrupt you
policy.
guys before.
Hold on,
Real quick, you would not make a policy that gay people would not be allowed to adopt. You would not make that the policy, right?
Listen, I said.
Is that true? You would not make that the policy.
Buddy, listen. All as I'm saying is,
I think that's what he just said.
if we have every single kid that's looking for parents, every single kid that's looking to be adopted, if you've exhausted all of the safe options of heterosexual couples that are waiting to adopt, and there's other kids out there that really want parents, then I would consider, once there's no more straight people on the waiting list, why don't we consider gay couples?
As a
Let's
DEI
look at the gay couples and see how safe they are.
After
I-
straight couples.
So Jake,
What?
I want to make sure I get a full chance to respond here,
And
please.
just to
Yeah, okay,
reiterate,
so
the
we're-
main response here
Teriak,
is that they don't have an excuse.
Got it. Hold on.
We don't need an excuse. You guys have to
Hold on,
justify
guys.
why we should block them.
Melv, you got the floor. Go ahead.
Yeah. So
God,
if,
it's so
if
cringe,
anything,
Jake.
Damon, if you don't want to
Jackie.
make
I can't hear both of you talking, dude.
Calm down, Ryan. Let your debate partner speak.
Sorry, I didn't mean to.
Stop
I didn't mean
overspeaking
to
your
interrupt.
debate partner.
Ryan,
Stop overspeaking
Ryan,
you
your
take
stop
debate
control
being
of your
triggered by words, bro.
I'm sorry,
Go
Jackie.
ahead.
You can control your panel. You're
Go
good.
ahead, Melv. You got the floor.
Jake, I need a little timeout, man, because I've been really upset by Ryan, who wants to silence the trans woman's voice here. It's really hurtful.
Okay.
I hate
I've
all
not
women,
seen this
okay?
kind of
All right.
bigotry. I've not seen this
So
kind of bigotry
resetting-
since.
I mean,
All right,
it wouldn't
well,
be,
I mean-
it wouldn't be off brand for you to just keep.
All right. We're
giggling at
muting
this
everybody.
point.
We're muting
So-
everybody except for you, Melv. Go ahead. You got the floor.
So, first of all, you said that you don't want to make a rule for the exception, but you are actually making, or the exception shouldn't be the rule, but you're making a rule for the exception. So I find that really interesting that there's a bit of contradiction there. Secondly, like you were saying, like, oh, if two gay, well, this is more a Teriak's argument, but you're defending it. If two gay people cannot give their child the right sex ed, even though Google exists, then they shouldn't have them. Well, what about like cis parents who are uncomfortable with even having that discussion with their children? Should their children be taken away from them? Obviously, you don't think that. Again, these are just lines of bias where you
So
think
we can't even answer the question?
where
I
you
was asking
think
the question
something's
first.
awful when it happens from a queer person, but you think it's totally fine when it happens from someone who's not.
Yeah, so
Okay.
again, I give this very simple case.
The
of
answer
two
is
gay
yes.
men and they have a daughter. It's much more easier if there's a mother and a father in that situation than having to rope in doctors or school nurses and all this kind of shit. It's a lot easier, more streamlined, more straightforward that the mother actually teaches them the sex ed rather than a strange adult,
So do you?
which
do
makes
you
more
agree-
sense. Yeah.
So do you agree that if the parents are afraid to have that discussion, they're not fit to be parents?
Clearly.
Oh,
Clearly.
okay. Because,
Yeah, so like I said, in this case, you're trying to act as though a
Okay. No, I
same-sex
appreciate
couple
your-
is
Can I have the
you're trying
follow-up?
to act. You're
Terry,
trying to
sorry,
act
can I
as though a
address
same-sex
Toby here
couple
for a second?
has no difference
I know I can only get
to a
one
mixed
follow-up, but I
a
just
mixed
want
sex
one,
couple.
bro.
But when we give the
one
actual
follow-up.
hypotheticals,
No.
you are like, oh no,
Just
well then
put your
like
mouth in
they
already.
don't have their mother, but they have two fathers. It's like you are not actually addressing any of the questions. You have not put forward a reason
Okay,
why this should
get
be a
it,
human right.
get it. You keep
Why
saying
should
you're
gay people be allowed
talking
to
point.
adopt?
We get it. You're
We're still
talking
waiting.
ways that we
We're
made
still
no
waiting.
arguments. You wrote it down before you even entered the debate. We get it. So,
Furby, hold
no,
on.
I'm not done.
Hold
so,
on.
Teriak,
Stop shouting, you bitch. Act more
you
ladylike.
want to fucking talk, you fucking
All right.
small dick
Damon,
brain loser.
Damon,
So,
shut up, bro.
Teriak,
Damon, shut up.
Teriak, if would you agree that comprehensive sex ed is very complicated and difficult for parents to become fully knowledgeable, and therefore they cannot provide their kids with comprehensive sex ed, which, by the way, data shows that without CSE leads to worse outcomes, because again, I think most parents are not equipped to do that. So it would follow that most non-queer parents should not even be parents in the first place.
Teriak, that was a question to you.
Yeah, so this is the whole dynamic that we find ourselves in. The fact that there has to be this whole process for the homosexuals, and like I said, the main thing that we're debating here today is like, and they have not been able to show it, one coherent reason why gay people should be able to adopt. And Ryan gives the whole thing of, well, same sex, then you can have two fathers. But if you're a daughter and you have two fathers, Like, where's the mother to talk about all this stuff that's going to go on during puberty? And this is an issue that you do not face with heterosexual couples, which they keep ignoring. We're pointing towards this and saying this is going to be this is at least one impact for it. Then, like I said, Damon brought up the whole mental illness, the whole self-deletion rates, how that is, this community is far higher in these self-deletion rates, more so than Jews in 1940s Germany. And then we had the whole dynamic back between, like they're more persecuted now more than ever, even though 20 years ago there wasn't pride marches, there wasn't all this legislation, there wasn't the rainbow flag getting thrown from the fucking White House. You know what I'm saying? So like this whole dynamic is like all we've asked for is just one reason why, and their excuse is because they want to.
Well, even when they're not making the excuse, even when they're not. No, you don't get to respond, man. I let you talk last time. I've still got something that I need to say.
Oh, so you want to have a
Okay, hold on, Damon. Let Melv respond, and then you got the next word. Melv, go ahead.
There is no way that support for LGBTQIA plus people is increasing when Trump just signed an executive order to remove all trans people from the military. And secondly, we have made plenty of cogent arguments. Again, I think that this is the mark of a bad debater, somebody who writes down beforehand in their mind that their opponent won't have any arguments.
Where were the pride marches 20 years ago?
They were pride marches 20 years ago. Just because you didn't know about them doesn't mean,
like, for example, you can't join the EU at the moment unless you mandate that there's going to be a pride parade.
Okay.
That wasn't there 20 years ago. Wait,
do you guys...
So this whole thing that society is less accepting, it's more accepting.
You didn't have floats at Pride Parade 20 years ago with people literally having penetrative sex on them in front of children. You didn't have kiddie pools filled.
Almost any pride parade. I've been to a lot of pride parades.
You didn't have naked dudes sitting in a fucking paddling pool with a bunch of dudes pulling their dicks out, pissing on their face in a pride parade.
Yeah, I've never seen that at a pride parade.
Well, open your fucking eyes, dude. It's there. This is the shit that's happening.
Have you ever been to a pride parade?
You're an idiot.
Dude, this is the shit that's happening. There's a pride parade that happened. 2 pride parades in the UK. 2 pride parades in the UK with guys having sex on floats when it was supposed to be a family day. It was on national news. Even the media couldn't cover it up. And in America,
okay, so two guys had sex.
Was getting pissed on.
Two couples had sex on a float, and now we're saying that like all gay pride has sex on floats.
We're saying that didn't happen 20 years ago.
We're gonna pull it up later afterwards.
We said that wasn't acceptable 20 years ago. That wasn't even acceptable 10 years ago. But now it's fine.
To get triggered by things and then be like, oh yeah, this must all be bad because I got triggered by this one thing. Like, dude.
Dude, learn the meaning of words, dude.
I'm giving you some good news. Do you want some good news?
That were triggered so much you went after the moderator. You do realize that? Who went after the moderator in this debate? Who went after the moderator?
You want some?
Who's more triggered? Who went after?
I went after Jackie because she's a shit moderator. It's okay.
Who went after the moderator?
If your name Damon.
Okay, so who's triggered?
I did. I went after Jackie.
Oh, so you're triggered. Okay, you're the triggered one. Okay. Yeah, cool beans.
I have some good news for you.
By the way, look at this shit.
If you actually are triggered this thing, that probably wasn't a pride parade. You should double check your sources and do some critical thinking, buddy.
Oh yeah, it's called the news, and it was literally at a pride parade. That dude
Carlson calls himself.
Yeah, so this link definitely doesn't confirm that.
He's not a reliable narrator of things. So
it wasn't Tucker Carlson, dude. It was the BBC.
Yes, no, I'm saying it's the link that you posted in the back.
Bias. BBC has a transphobic leaning bias, by the way. So good job. You just
are you fucking insane, dude? The BBC deliberately wanted to cast a trans person to be in Doctor Who, and you're like, oh, they're transphobic. What the hell?
This is why there was no point. There was no point of us trying to put data points in front of them because all they would say is, "Oh, that's bias. That's a bias source." That's not true. They don't give a fuck about it. But when we have the actual proof, they're like, "No, that's not existing."
Let's just say something.
Please let me go. Please.
Okay.
Let's just say something simply. Hold up.
Jackie.
I was told by Jake that I could. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Okay. So the big issue here, the biggest problem that we keep seeing when we're trying to make any points here, when we're trying to talk about one family dynamic versus another, is that whenever we're bringing up these issues about a heterosexual family raising a kid that they've adopted, is we see we see both these people, Ryan and Phoebe, trying to argue like, but what if this, but what if that, but what if there's a problem here, but what if they've got these issues, but what if they don't want to talk about to kids about certain issues? What if the woman isn't nurturing and compassionate, right? But when we're supposed to believe that every gay couple that wants to adopt a kid is somehow going to be the paragon of the perfect family, that they're going to have all of these perfect virtues and they're not going to fuck up and make mistakes either. The fact of the matter is that even if we concede that gay people are going to be just as good as a heterosexual couple in raising a kid, even if we were to concede that. So if we're going to imagine that the prevalence of shitty parents that exist in the heterosexual community is the exact same as the prevalence of shitty parents that are going to be in a homosexual family, even in that case, you should still say that the kid's going to have a better outcome in a heterosexual family. Why? You're going to have the experience of both a mother and a father, rather than a father and a father. And if you, Ryan, are going to be a good faith person in this argument, I need you to tell me why you would want the kids to miss out on one of those experiences. Why are you going to put them just with two fathers or just with two mothers?
Okay, I understand the question.
Rather than one of each.
I understand your question. Okay.
All right.
So first of all, I don't believe that this is the reality that we're engaging with. Like in the adoption system, we're not choosing whether or not people should be allowed to go to, or I'm sorry, whether people should be forced to go to a gay couple or a straight couple. It's just whether or not a qualified couple is picking up the kids. And again, the data shows very demonstrably and very comprehensively that these couples are raising kids that are just as healthy, just as well adjusted as straight couples are. For whatever reason, somehow they're making it work. And I want to respond specifically to the tweet, the one link that Teriak has posted, the one link that either of them have posted.
Wait. What was your answer?
Shut up. I'm not done. I'm actually not done. Thank you.
Hold on.
So the one link that's been shared this entire time is an X.com post for Tenet Media, which is a company that paid Tim Pool millions of dollars from the Kremlin, from Russian. It's Russian state media.
Was that not taken at the Pride Parade?
Was it taken at the Pride Parade? No evidence of Pride Parade, and it comes from fucking Russian media.
Was it taken at the Pride Parade? Was it taken at the Pride Parade? And this is the whole point. There was no point of linking them. There was no point in linking them data points because they'll just hand wave the same.
It's not a data point. It's a tweet. It's a tweet with a screenshot from Tenet Media.
Read the tweet. Read the tweet, Jake.
Okay, so look, I didn't want to get into the whole links and stuff like that, but just to clarify what Ryan's talking about, a man receives a BJ. Oh man. Another man's
data
mouth
points.
at San Francisco. Yeah, Pride. This is just a picture here.
So what Damon said at a Pride Parade, they were given fellatio and they were urinating on each other.
According to the
and Ryan
tweet.
said,
How do we know they
I've
were
never
Pride?
seen any of that. But when we show
they were Pride?
when we show Ryan the proof, he closes his eyes. He's blind to it. He doesn't see it.
How do we know this is at a Pride Parade? I don't see a Pride Parade in the background. I just see people. It says Tenet Media on it. I don't see a Pride Parade.
Okay.
That's the thing. I don't see any floats around or whatever. But
I see no evidence it's a Pride Parade. Why don't you post a real source?
I don't
know because your source doesn't have anything about that.
Yeah, exactly. So even when we show you the proof, you'll just close your eyes and say,
"It's not proof." What is wrong with you?
Because no matter what data we give you, Ryan, no matter what data we give you,
I have no idea where it's from. It could be from a Pride Parade, but your link does not support it that it's from a Pride Parade.
You can read it out, but I'm not going to believe you. I'm not going to trust the source.
We all understand.
So this whole thing of like where you have one level of proof for yourself, we don't have a level of proof for our side. It shows exactly how cowardice you are.
This is not that complicated.
All right,
really quick. Ryan, can you just finish the point?
Guys, just to clarify, we got 3-minute warning. All right, for you guys, I'm rewinding the clock here. 3-minute warning. Go ahead, Damon. Then we're going to close the statement.
I just wanted to let Ryan finish his point. I was just waiting for the answer for what I was asking.
Yeah, I don't think this is how the adoption process works. We don't have to decide whether or not it's whether a child's going to a straight couple or a gay couple. We just look at qualified couples, and there's plenty of stuff through the adoption process that evaluates how adept these people are going to be at raising a child. And if an LGBTQ couple is seen, if there are red flags with them, then we should maybe consider not letting that couple. And if there's a straight couple that has red flags, we should maybe consider not letting that couple either.
Do you agree?
I'm almost done. But we would never look at just whether or not it's a gay couple or whether or not it's a straight couple to decide. And even you acknowledged that earlier. So,
So would you agree that one of the things that we should look at when we're trying to see what the advantages are for the kid's perspective when we're trying to find them a home is to have the experience of having both a mother and a father?
I don't care. No, I don't think
so. You would ignore that. You think that isn't a benefit to the kid to have
I
both
care
a mother
more
and a
about
father.
qualified people who are responsible
Lord.
parents having them than I do about what they're
Yeah,
doing.
but I'm asking for the part of being a responsible parent and part of being qualified as a parent is to be able to nurture the child properly and give them the full experience of being raised
and I
in a
think the
family.
gay couples can do that just fine according to all the data.
Without the presence of a woman, without the presence of a woman in the house.
You didn't give me anything. Wait.
Without the experience of having a mother. So you see there's no benefit in having a mother and a father. You think it would be the same to just have a father and a father or a mother and a mother. You don't see any benefit.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, it could be just the same. Yeah.
Okay, cool. No, I accept that. That's fine. That's fine. That's cool. I accept that. If that's your position, then fine. I'm happy.
Take on either role, regardless of what their biological sex is. They were
you would believe that. That's cool. Okay, I understand that from your perspective already. I understood that.
Okay, I've met fathers who are very, empathetic and caring and attentive, and very soft touched. And I've met mothers who can fucking whoop your ass and tell you that you're a piece of shit and make you hate yourself. These things aren't like, just because you're born with a penis doesn't mean you can't act like a woman, and just because you're born with a vagina doesn't mean you can't act like a man.
I agree. If you're born with a penis, you can act like a woman. I agree. The problem I have is that it doesn't mean that you are a woman, and it doesn't mean that a child is going to pick up on that.
That does not inform them to whether or not we're kids or not.
Again, like the key concept here is that there's no difference between a heterosexual and a homosexual. We give them the base case. Two gay men adopt a daughter. Who's walking through that process? She's missing that experience of having a mother guide her through that biological process. And they want to like act as though there's no difference whatsoever. But in the gay couple example, they need a doctor or they need a school nurse to do this shit, or they need some external source to come into it. Whereas when you have a mother and father, it's a complete package.
By the way, children who lose their mother.
The question then becomes, they need to assert why this is an important case, but they haven't been able to do it just because gay people want to do it.
There's plenty. There's going to be issues that come up where kids run into situations that their parents don't have experience with, just in every household. Because like you guys were saying earlier, no family is perfect. We all agree on that.
It's about equipping them with the best possible.
We all have a set of chromosomes.
Can't someone just be a woman regardless of their chromosomes?
Of course not. But if you would study some basic biology like I have, you would know that a female has XX. You don't speak for us! Yeah, you don't speak for us! You don't speak for us!
All right, we're gonna open up. Okay, we're gonna have the
Angles.
closing statements, guys. Closing statements.
That show's making fun of you guys, right?
I really enjoyed the debate. All right, now we're gonna shoot out the closing statements. We're gonna start off with Melv and Ryan. Go ahead, you guys got 7 minutes for it. Starting now. Closing statements. Let's go.
Ryan, want to go first?
Yeah, I mean they definitely haven't given. So like. The issue today, we're discussing whether or not gay people should be barred from adopting children, and they've certainly not given us any reason to even entertain that idea. They introduced the topic with a bunch of homophobic, not even microaggressions, probably like I would call them macroaggressions, just very obvious like homophobic stuff. Like Tarek was talking about people like coming in each other's butts and whatever. Like, and I don't want to shame his kinks or whatever. Like, live your life, dude. But like that obviously it kind of you're painting a picture of someone who's already deeply uncomfortable with gay people, and it's definitely going to inform your biases on this. But you haven't given us any evidence at all. The one link you posted was something that you claim is from a pride parade. We have no evidence from a pride parade, and it was posted by fucking Tenet Media, the media outlet that was receiving literally millions from Russia, and that gave Tim Pool a bunch of money from Russia, or as I like to call him, commentator too. So I don't know. There's barely anything to engage with at all. But at least you guys tried. And Jackie did a decent job. I was a little hard on her earlier, but I appreciate you, Jackie.
All right, I appreciate you too as well, Ryan. All right, Melv, you got the floor.
So for everything our opponents have said, we could apply them to normative relationships too, and disqualify a lot of normative parents for not living up to this, what is essentially a nirvana fallacy. I find it funny that I keep on bringing up fallacies tonight, and yet these are supposed to be logic bros. So I'm going to repeat this point again. If the exception does not make the rule, then why are we making a rule for the exception? It sounds like a lot of these talking points my opponents are giving were written down beforehand, such as my opponents didn't make any arguments. Like, that was not a good prediction. Maybe don't put your money on that in the future. Sex at Pride isn't proof that queer folks can adopt. Those are two relevant things. And most of the arguments that they've made tonight don't actually inform us on whether or not queer people can adopt. A lot of things I told them should be good news, like you don't need to be afraid of this thing, and they'll fight it tooth and nail because they want to be afraid. And especially more than anything, they can't find any unbiased talking points, which they admitted to, or any unbiased sources, which they admitted to, because they are essentially media literate. And most specifically, because I'm not going to out Damon for this, but Teriak hasn't made any arguments, so you suck at this.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that. Now, hold on really quick. Now, everybody in the chat, Ryan, could you, we're going to be opening up the panel afterwards, so you feel free to go ahead and link the link over there to your chat if you'd like to do that. So we'll be opening it up after the statements from Teriak and Damon. Teriak, you guys have 7 minutes starting now. Let's go.
Yeah. So again, like their whole argument, you've seen it there. That they basically turn around, they're like, oh, well, they're homophobic, so it's just one big ad-hom. Like Furby talks about fallacies, but that's their whole argumentation. We asked them, point blank, why should gay people be allowed to adopt? Because they want to. That's not an excuse. So this whole thing of like, we haven't provided any arguments. We've given the hypotheticals. 2 gay men and a daughter. That's not the same experience as a mother and a father with a daughter, because the mother can teach her the biological the biological change that they go through. So it's not the same experience. No matter how many times they say it, it's a lie, and they've been proven such because Ryan just hand waves that and just says, "Yeah, no, just but it's better when you have 2 fathers. So it's better to have a father instead of the mother. So isn't that a bit sexist?" Well, hey, that's their mentality. It just like it falls flat on its face. Like I said, even with the evidence that we give them tenant media, and it's like, oh, tenant media, all this kind of shit. But even if this was a corrupt organization, if we were to grant all this shit, that it was all Russian money, all this shit, that still does not negate the fact that at the San Francisco Pride Parade, there was a man performing fellatio and then urinating in that said man's mouth. This is what happens in these Pride Parades. We can pull up anybody who's actually been to one, but Ryan will plays dumb and says, I've never seen that. Well, I've never seen that. But even when we put the evidence right in front of him, it just gets hand waved. This is the whole case with these lefties. That's how crazy they are. When you give them the counter evidence, they just hand wave it away. And like I said, I'll let Damon go.
Yeah, Damon, the floor is yours.
Okay. Yeah. So we didn't really get much talking because unfortunately everyone was talking over one another. There's a couple of things I wanted to address. I'm not afraid of gay people adopting. The only thing, if I am afraid of anything, it's about the staggering amount of, like I said, domestic violence and abuse. Look at the 2021 Saviak study. If we could have gone into that, where you see much higher prevalence rates for LGBTQ kids suffering sexual abuse, which tend to be in LGBTQ households. The other issue that really baffled me, which you guys seem to be kind of really arguing for and defending, especially because in America, if you want to adopt a kid, it costs a lot of money. So you're looking at $20,000 to $70,000, depending on if you want to go for fostering or surrogacy, which, like I said, the gay people want to do. And if you're going to try and say, oh, look, it's a safer household, it's a safer family, it tends to cost more for gay people. So you're going to have wealthy gay people doing that. So obviously you're going to provide a good quality of life because you're wealthy. That skews statistics a lot if you actually look at them when they're trying to say if it's a good outcome for a kid. So that's something to consider as well, but we didn't get around to that. But my main issue is, like I said, I've got no problem with gay people having a kid if they can make one, which they can't. So, I mean, try making a baby with another guy, you can't do it. So you should stay single, or you should remain with your partner and just be happy as a gay couple. But like I said before, when you game the system, you are perverting nature. And you're doing so because you understand you can't naturally accomplish this because you weren't designed to be able to have kids. So it's unnatural. You know it's unnatural the moment you decide to game that system and try adopting or getting a surrogate. What you're doing is you're perverting the course of nature to get that outcome, which otherwise would not happen for you. Now, you can argue with this, but you're arguing with science, you're arguing with biology, you're arguing with reality and language, because that's what those words literally mean, perverted and unnatural. And your side wants to rewrite reality like this, and it's why you keep trying to control language. But like I said, if you look at child safeguarding policies, I haven't been talking for 7 minutes, dude.
No,
but thanks for interrupting.
I'm keeping track. Don't worry.
If you look at child safeguarding policy and regulations, if you look at the categories of abuse, if you think about concepts of a sexual nature, these kids aren't ready to be talking about that kind of stuff. And if you put them in a gay household, those questions are going to come up at an age that they're not prepared to discuss it. That's the sexual abuse that happens a lot of time that gets swept under the carpet. And if you look at the fact that LGBTQ people do this much more often than heterosexuals do, it's something that needs to be considered for the kids' safety. But if you allow a gay couple to adopt a child, and in so doing, you pervert the course of nature and abuse an innocent life to feed their narcissism, to try and lend some kind of validity to the relationship that they had that wouldn't be able to produce a child, at best, what you're doing is, on a societal level, you're normalizing delusion in a way that's most offensive to nature and to reality. And at worst, what you're doing is you're spitting in the face of God. Now, you do what you want to do. Ultimately, I'm not here to convert anyone. Like I said, we all live the life the way we want to. But just go ahead, man. Violate the principles and the sanctity of parenthood. Deprive a kid of having both a mother and a father. Exercise your perversions. Fuel your narcissism however you want. Reduce children to simple accessories to feed your ego. Carry on cosplaying these fantasies of, oh, we're a happy family, we're a nuclear family, even though we've got 2 dads and we've got a kid. It's not your kid, man. It's not your kid. You bought it. And I thought your side was against slavery, but apparently you're okay with buying a life like that. But you're treating that kid as an emotional support animal, which I think is just fucking disgraceful. And I don't see how anyone in good conscience can support this. So yeah, that's it.
All right. Thank you so much for that closing statement. Now we already got a few people in the background. Ryan has sent the link over to his chat. So if anybody from his chat wants to jump in and have questions for the panelists, then we're going to get to that as well, guys. So please, if you guys want to jump in, the link is in the chat as well as in Ryan's chat. So feel free.
I want a link. Why does
so.
Everyone else but me get the link?
You already have the
Yeah, what the hell?
So go ahead and no, go ahead and do that, Mel. So
okay, I got to come at the moderator for half a second because that clip you played that was like Avengers Endgame or something. That was
the boys.
That was the boys.
But that was really dumb.
Okay. It was making fun of him, by the way.
Go again, baby, what's up? Nothing feels right, so let's mess up everything.